Welcome everybody to High and Low, a podcast about talking picture shows.
We do films that are corny, and some that are horny, and some that win Academy Awards.
Doing all kind of movies from all kind of genres, serving hot takes like plates of lasagna.
Before we get going, a warning to you. You might hear some talk that's a little blue.
We sometimes cuss and we sometimes curse. We like to do it off the cuff and don't rehearse.
Now if this sounds like your kind of show,
Tune in,
Drop out.
This is High and Low.
Welcome back to the High and Low Podcast, the show where we hubristically compare two movies per episode, one being a high and the other being a low. Today we're talking two coming-of-age films by Rob Meathead Reiner, the first being the 1986 classic Stand By Me, and the second being the universally reviled Elijah Wood vehicle, North. I'm Luke, and we're all on the family here with my co-hosts.
Vaughn, how's it going?
And Mitchell, how do you do?
What's up, guys?
Oh, not too much. Just enjoying the cozy studio atmosphere, getting ready to go back to my boyhood.
We're up
Yeah.
here in our treehouse.
No girls allowed.
Yeah,
That's
we
right.
made that mistake once, never again. No girls.
Yeah, we're going to get a sign.
Got our skin mags.
Yeah, reading skin mags and comic books, playing cards, smoking darts.
Smoking cigarettes.
It's what boys do.
We are very mature.
It was fun to dig into a couple movies by one person because you can kind of see some elements from one movie bleed into the other a little bit. So that was a nice little change of pace compared to what we've been doing lately.
Yeah, two coming-of-age dramas,
Comedies.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
dramas.
I was
Yeah,
sad that I watched North, but I think it was supposed to be a comedy.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I missed that. I thought they were both dramas. No, yeah, and they both got some humor to them.
Rob Reiner's an interesting case study. This is the first time we're covering a director for the theme on our show, and he's not any of our favorite directors. None of us have any particular affinity for this guy. I mean, he had that run in the 80s. He had This Is Spinal Tap, and then he had like a bunch of good movies right up until about Misery.
The Sure Thing, Stand By Me, The Princess Bride, When Harry Met Sally, Misery, A Few Good Men.
Yeah.
Pretty unimpeachable run. And then he did North, and that kind of derailed his career. He didn't really
He's
recover
sucked
from
shit
it.
since then. I mean,
Yeah.
it's kind of funny. And
It's good for us because there's not too many directors who run that spectrum. Like, that's the thing Quentin Tarantino was talking about when he was saying that he wants to retire after 8 movies so he doesn't ruin his legacy or whatever, because you've got certain directors. Francis Ford Coppola is, for one. He's got some stinkers, and then
he lost his fastball at
Yeah.
some point.
And he's got some of the best movies of all time, generally considered.
Yeah, and Rob Reiner's a talented guy. Like, he's done a variety of movies. Most of what I've seen I liked. Yeah, he lost the juice sometimes. He couldn't wheeze the juice anymore. Maybe Pauly Shore came along and
Yeah.
stole some of his thunder. Cause
No wheezing the juice.
Pauly Shore's star was on the rise just as Rob Reiner's was on the decline, so nobody's talking about that.
I think Reiner's still doing okay, but all I ever see him on now is like on Twitter cheerleading for Joe Biden. He's like the uber Democrat, like, you guys got to vote Democrat. Democrats are perfect and good. All Democrats are good. Joe Biden's the greatest president ever. He's the greatest president that ever lived. I'm Rob Reiner. Thank you for this very important message.
If
didn't
Rob
know he-
Reiner said so.
He's kind of the king of liberals, and yeah, he goes on like Bill Maher's show all the time and just like agrees with all of Bill Maher's points.
Oh my God.
And like
Sounds awful.
when I was a younger man, I used to think like Bill Maher was smart, and like Rob Reiner would come on the show. I'd be like, I like this guy. He's
These
like
guys
Bill
are both
Maher, but
smart.
he's not like
He
he's
might have
like
been smarter
smart.
when we were younger. I think he's kind of steered into that whole
They're dumb.
shtick that he's doing, but
Yeah, he's changed a bit too. But yeah, it's interesting because that was always Meathead on All in the Family. That was Meathead shtick. He was like the liberal and Archie Bunker was the conservative. So
I've never seen the show, so I had no idea that was the
He's
case.
like
never
the
seen
hippie.
All in the Family?
Yeah, Archie Bunker's like a racist, and then Meathead's like, Archie, you can't say that word.
I know nothing about All the Family. You're telling me this, and I've heard of it, and I know that he's Meathead on it. That's all I know until now.
That's all you need to know.
Mitchell
Yeah,
you were Meathead in a play in high school, weren't you?
I have no recollection.
We did an all
play?
we did an all in the family episode as
like
a play
just a
and
drama exercise.
Yeah, I was Edith, and I'm pretty sure Mitchell was Meathead. Josh
Yeah.
Young, friend of the show,
the
former
pod.
guest. Yeah, he was Archie Bunker.
He is the Archie Bunker of the group.
Yeah, mostly in demeanor. I don't think he followed
Whatever that that means. I don't even know anything about Archie Bunker.
I'm
I guess
surprised.
You
the
just
most
said
conservative
something
one.
Very scandalous.
I'm surprised that you somehow managed to escape it, because sure, it was like 20, 30 years before all of our times, but
Yeah.
All in the Family is just one of those things that's resonated through the zeitgeist.
Yeah, every episode is basically
You missed
just
me.
awkward Thanksgiving dinner with conservative family members.
Yeah,
That's
you-
the show.
Yeah.
Miss me with that, okay?
Have you seen Married with Children?
That show was funny, though. Married with Children didn't have a message, really.
No, I don't know if All in the Family did either. It's just
Oh.
this old.
It was
Make it sound like-
kind of like don't be racist to black people kind of thing. It was a very basic message that I think we all recognize today, but you were expected to laugh at Archie, you know.
No, I grew up watching The Fresh Prince. It was just like implied that we weren't racist to black people. We just liked that TV show
Yeah.
with the guy that dances funny. Carlton.
And the Carlton.
Yeah, so that's where Rob Reiner started, and then
His dad is famously Carl Reiner.
Carl Reiner.
Who, did the Borscht Belt comedy thing with Mel Brooks. Carl, I think he died a couple years ago, but I think he was on like the Conan O'Brien or some other podcast I heard him on. Not long before he died. He was like 96 years old or something. Dude was still super fucking fast, super funny, like super smart. Like those guys from that generation, you just could not stop them. They were
Yeah.
just absolutely like performers from the time they were toddlers. It was like on stage in like the
Super quick-witted.
1920s or whatever.
Yeah, they had to be quick because
They're amazing.
doing everything live. They're always on their feet. You had to be able to adapt and throw things right off the cuff.
So anyway, Rob Reiner, he's okay. Carl Reiner kind of made a fan of me.
I actually didn't realize that they were related. I thought there was two separate people in Hollywood with the Reiner last name.
No,
Until
there's
just now.
if there's two people in Hollywood and they share a last name, there's no separation there.
Chances are.
Probably because most people with generic names like Smith, they usually change it to some sort of stage name that sticks out.
Yeah, Tim Allen is Woody Allen's nephew. Did you know that?
Well,
I just made that up. Okay, so jumping into Stand By Me. What do you guys think of this fucking movie, huh?
1986. I've seen this movie so many times that I'm not sure if memories from my childhood are actually just things that happened in this movie that I think happened to me, because that should be like how every little boy's childhood should be. Like, I don't think I've ever been attacked by a leech, but this movie makes me kind of remember like, oh, maybe I did at one point. I don't know.
It planted it in your head.
Yeah, like a lot of that stuff. That's mostly my relationship with this movie. I've seen it a bunch.
well, I like it even more than you because I was attacked by a leech when I was a boy, so I find it even more relatable.
Yeah, what kind of childhood did you have? I was attacked by many leeches. Mostly
did you
from
have?
my doctor, but
You have blood sickness, Luke.
we have a lot of shitty lakes, and we have a lot out east in Ontario.
And I've swam in a bunch. Just never.
No, in Alberta, they're not as much a thing. But in Ontario, I've found them a lot, for sure.
Okay. Wow, fancy boy. I've never been to Ontario.
I might have got my leech in Alberta, might not.
When we summered in Ontario, you see,
Well,
What's your experience with the movie?
I never saw this movie until like 8 years ago or so, and I thought it was really good.
For me, this is a movie that was just always on TV, so
I just
in
never
bits
caught
and
it.
pieces I've seen it.
It missed me, just
Dozens
like
and
All in the
dozens.
Family. Yeah, I thought it was really good. It kind of made me cry. It had a lot of nostalgic stuff.
Yeah.
This time it didn't make me cry, but I had just watched another movie that did make me cry like earlier that same day, and I was like, there's no way Stand By Me can make me cry a second time. No, I had cried all my tears out watching Redbeard, another fucking Kurosawa movie.
you were all wrung out like a sponge.
Yeah,
Just like,
yeah, it kind of took some of the shine off this Reiner movie, but hey, still pretty good.
Yeah.
This movie's full of quotable lines. Like, it's obviously based on Stephen King novella or
Yeah.
some shit.
The Body.
The Body.
It's from
Yeah.
a collection called Different Season, which is the same collection of novellas that The Shawshank Redemption comes from, and Apt Pupil, the Bryan Singer movie, comes from that one.
Yeah,
And a fourth story that hasn't been adapted into a movie yet.
When this movie was
Someone's gotta do
in
that.
production, it was the working title for this movie was The Body. It was that for most of the production. Until,
It's a movie about me, right? Jesse the Body Ventura.
Put me in your film. Put me. I'll hunt those little boys.
Hey, Steven, I heard you
Yeah.
got a movie treatment about me.
He could have played Ace.
I'm the one who pushed that boy in front of the train, but I thought he was a predator. But within in the last couple weeks, Rob Reiner heard one of the actors was listening to "Stand By Me" by Benny King on his radio or something like that, and that song really stuck out to him. So he just changed the name of the movie and just added that in, and probably told whoever did the music for it to kind of incorporate that into the score.
This movie has a big soundtrack.
Yeah. Oh, I
But,
listen
like,
to the soundtrack regularly.
To me, what you're explaining, that's like so hacky to me. It's so like corny. I don't know.
It was probably a good move commercially.
I guess commercially, yeah.
Yeah, it's like Stand By Me has a bit more commercial ring to it than The Body. You would assume The Body's like a horror story.
Well, like, also
Yeah.
the movie is about their friends and they're sticking together until the end when they go their separate ways, and it kind of has more to do with it than The Body, which is they're going to see a body, but doesn't really have anything to do with the message.
I just kind of hate that trend that movies used to have where they would take like a popular song that everybody likes and like title the movie after it and be like, this one's called Something to Talk About. And like on the trailers, you have like the Bonnie Raitt song, and it's like, you sing that song, and it's like, oh, I'm watching this movie, and it goes, let's give them something to talk about.
Yeah,
It's
that
like
was a huge
you're just
thing.
getting juice on your movie, just like based on a popular song that people like.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love that.
It's so cheesy.
That was a major trend.
It works. Yeah, that kind of probably stopped after most of the a lot of the classic commercially palatable music was used up.
Yeah, they made a Straight Outta Compton movie. I was like, give me a break. They're gonna name it after that song.
Like movie soundtracks are a pretty big business too. Used to order those from Columbia House, like Men in Black soundtrack or whatever. But so I'm sure all those movie soundtracks probably had those songs as like a selling point as the #1 track.
You
on
need
them or
the
whatever.
anchor song.
We don't really get those kinds of jukebox soundtracks anymore outside of the Guardians of the Galaxy
That's
movies.
the main
That's like the
exception.
only ones I can think of in recent memory.
It would be all part of the marketing. You'd sell the soundtrack with the movie Romeo plus Juliet.
Yeah, I mean,
That's a huge
there was
one.
those ones with like the original songs, and then also like the ones that have just like a really fucking kick-ass mixtape.
I had the Blade 2 CD.
Oh yeah,
Played 2.
yeah.
So it didn't even have that.
Does that got that Most Def song? Eye Against Eye, Massive Attack, and Most Def.
It does.
That's
That
a good
song fucking rocks.
Yeah,
Is that one like a new metal?
kind
with
of.
Mos
Yeah,
Def?
kind
Kinda.
of.
I've not
It
heard
slaps pretty hard.
It has that vibe to it.
So the version that I saw, it opened with some behind-the-scenes stuff. There was Rob Reiner meeting with Will Wheaton and Corey Feldman.
Really?
You guys didn't get that? It just
No.
like came with nothing, and it
No,
was
I
just
watched
them
my-
having a little reunion, and they hadn't met in whatever, like 20 years or something. They said, and Wheaton is 38 at the time. I think this is from maybe 8 or 10 years ago or
okay.
so.
That's
And
interesting.
Reiner had a couple quotes in there. He's going, I can't get over the fact. Jerry O'Connell's not there. He's like, I can't get over the fact that Jerry O'Connell, that fat little kid, is married to Rebecca Romaine. And they're all like, and they just keep calling him the fat little kid. But it's funny to see them together as adults because they do kind of still see themselves as they were then. And like Will Wheaton says something nice like that to Feldman. It's kind of interesting. He's like, I'd maybe bumped into you once 20 years ago or whatever. To me, in my mind's eye, like, you're 15-year-old Corey Feldman.
You're still a little
Yeah.
Gordy.
Yeah, he's like, you were 15 until you walked around that corner. And you're a grown man, and you're saying hello and shaking my hand again. And it was kind of touching. I guess they did a commentary on the movie, but
I just watched the standard definition DVD that I own.
I watched the free stream on the CTV streaming app. I was actually worried. I don't know. Hopefully I didn't miss anything. Like I was wondering because it almost seemed like there was commercial break spots put in, and I was like, I hope they didn't cut anything out of this. So I guess I'll see as we go along here if you guys saw anything that I missed.
well, it's a Stephen King book, so like they didn't cut out the part where all the guys get into a big pile and gangbang each other, right?
It's really weird.
Yeah.
This
That's how they defeat the body at the end.
They have to fuck it.
I thought it was weird that there was a series of flashers. Just kind of throughout the movie in the background, just men walking with trench coats and flashing the camera and then just carrying along.
I missed it. I
And
don't,
they showed up at the gangbang later. So
Didn't look
it all
like
paid
much
off.
on your standard def DVD, I imagine.
Just a few pixels.
sometimes I miss the background details like that when I watch the movie. I don't know.
This movie,
So how does it start?
It opens with a narration by Richard Dreyfuss. He's sitting in his car and he finds out that somebody died. It starts with him saying, I was 12 going on 13 the first time I saw a dead human being. Then we jump back in time to 1950 something or other.
What a great opening hook of a line.
Isn't it?
Man, just sinks the hook right in. Yeah, Chris Chambers was killed. That's the headline. And
Yeah, we don't know who he is. We're going to find out right away. He's sitting and he's very sad, and you can hear the Stand By Me song playing in the background. It's very downbeat, very sad.
And he sees like a couple of kids riding by on their bicycles, and he's like, I'm a sad boy. And it's Richard Dreyfuss doing a narration that I think is pretty unnecessary for the most part. It doesn't add much to the movie.
Yeah, there's a couple of lines that I thought were pretty funny from it, but for the most part, you don't really need it.
Like most movies, I feel like it's just like telling you how you should feel about certain things at certain times, where it's like, if you're paying attention a little bit, it's showing you. It's all on the fucking screen.
Yeah.
Movies are a visual medium.
Yeah.
I
these
agree.
kids are really good fucking actors, and
They are.
I'm getting all of it from them. I don't need Richard Dreyfuss explaining it to me what's happening.
Yeah.
The voiceover was way better than
Yeah.
North's.
For
that
sure.
But yeah, for the most part, I don't need it.
Even when some great directors put voiceover in, I'm not a fan of it. Like some of the Sam Jackson voiceover in some Quentin Tarantino movies, I'm like, I like
Inglourious
Sam
Bastards.
Jackson, but this is unnecessary here. Just show me what's happening. Like, show me the wine getting poisoned in Hateful Eight. I don't need a Sam Jackson to tell me it's happening.
Ah, man, I think we're going to have a fight here. I disagree on that one.
Luke loves Sam Jackson.
I love
narration.
Hateful Eight.
Oh, I love Hateful Eight, too.
Well, Hateful Eight
But-
aside,
So, yeah, we see young Gordy. That's Richard Dreyfuss. He's telling the story. He's played by Will Wheaton,
yeah,
a.k.a.
Wesley
Crusher from Star Trek TNG.
Yeah.
And now he's just a pop culture icon for being a guy who's okay with his level of fame and his celebrity stardom and stuff like that.
Didn't he get like bullied off the internet by like psychos who are like, fuck you, Wesley, I hate you, Wesley, and he's like, I can't be on the internet anymore. You guys are just fucking annoying.
He had a YouTube channel that I followed
I
for a
think
little
he's
bit,
fine, man.
watching
Yeah.
where he would play board games, tabletop board games.
He was on the Geek and Sundry network, Felicia Day's YouTube channel, I think.
Yeah.
Seems like a fine guy.
Will Wheaton, they're in this little town called Castle Rock. Everybody, it's the type of town where the paper boy just rides his bike down the street in the morning and tosses out the paper on every doorstep, and the milkman comes and leaves, a refreshing bottle of milk on the patio for
You can just hear
everybody.
the 50s rock and roll now.
Yeah.
This is Stephen King's fictional town that he created.
That he
Castle
creates in
Rock.
everything he writes. Yeah, Castle.
Yeah.
Everything's in Castle. Or
A good 75% of his stories take place in this town.
Yeah.
I think, does it take place there? Or I think that takes place in a slightly bigger
well, it's
fictional
weird.
town.
Castle Rock is in New England, and this is in somewhere that isn't New England, but it's the
Oh.
same one, right? But yes, I think it might take place there. Most of them do. Tommy Knockers did. Needful Things did. I think it was mentioned in The Stand, but that kind of goes all over the place.
There was that Stephen King anthology show that came out in the last couple of years here. It was just called Castle Rock. I think it all had weird stories that took place in Castle Rock.
But this one, I never watched. But this movie, it's a normal story. It's the type of, what do you call it? Who's that guy who does the paintings?
Jackson Pollock.
No, well,
Leonardo da Vinci.
no, like the one who does the paintings like for cornflakes and stuff like that. And
Norman Rockwell.
Yeah.
Norman Rockwell.
this is a Norman Rockwell town where everybody's just gosh golly gee and
Yeah. Super Americana
Yeah.
kind of deal.
so Will Wheaton's going to go meet his buddies. They have a sweet little treehouse, much like the one we're podcasting out of right now.
Amazing treehouse. Ours is falling apart. Like,
Yeah.
it's embarrassing. I'm scared to be in here. But
Yeah.
theirs is so cool.
Rate, review, and
know?
subscribe to keep our podcast treehouse from falling apart, please.
They just had better building standards back then, and they still had the good wood. We've cut down all the good trees by now, so we don't have that good wood anymore.
We don't have the good wood, and they keep the riffraff out because they have a secret knock. So if you want to go get in there, you got to do the secret knock, right? So
Yeah,
Will
we get a
Wheaton-
knock knock, and they're like, don't you know the secret fucking knock?
pour the oil on him.
Yeah. Burning barrels of pitch. No, it's just Jerry O'Connell as Vern.
There's
Yeah.
He
a
said, "I
body.
forgot the secret knock. Let me in, guys." And they're like, "Fuck, Vern."
Yeah.
This poor kid who's just like a little bit chubby.
Yeah, he's not. He's
Yeah.
the fat one, but yeah, he's less fat than anyone in this room. I'll tell you right now.
Different standards back then. It was a different era, 1950s.
1950s, yeah. They're all expected to look like Will Wheaton or Corey Feldman, who plays Teddy
I
Duchamp.
can't live up to those beauty standards.
You expect me to look like a Corey Feldman?
Gordy's dad describes Vern and Teddy as Phoebes at one point. I think that kind of fits. Yeah, Vern's a real
Phoebes?
Phoebe.
Phoebes, yeah.
Oh
He's
man, my dad used to say that all the time. I haven't heard that in forever.
Yeah, he's talking to
What
him.
are
and
you,
he's,
a
he's-
Phoebe?
Yeah, he says to Gordy, "You hang out with a criminal and two Phoebes," or something like that.
a couple of thieves and a thief.
Yeah, why couldn't you have friends like your brother Denny?
Yeah.
Rather be a thief than a phoebe.
Yeah, that's so dismissive. I'm not a
And they're both fine. Like
just because I can't remember the secret knock, I'm a Phoebe.
poor Vern's. Yeah, so Vern as Jerry O'Connell, Vern Tessio. Vern and Teddy, they're they're slightly outcast. Teddy's
Teddy's the crazy one.
Teddy's crazy. He comes from his dad burned his ear. He comes from an abusive household, or he's been abused in the past, and
His dad was
his-
a combat veteran who.
sounds like he had some pretty bad PTSD.
Yeah. If you believe Teddy, he stormed the beaches at Normandy and all this other stuff, and that's why he's off in a mental hospital right now.
Yeah, so these boys, they are outcasts. Like,
Yeah.
they
Yes.
have to be the reject boys because they're a bunch of weirdos.
They're all kind of dealing with some shit too. Like
Yeah.
Gordy's brother just died earlier in the year.
Yeah.
Of like
In
he was-
Korea or something.
no, I think he just died in a car accident
Yeah,
or something
car
like
wreck.
that.
Oh, yeah.
And he was like super
He was-
all-star Letterman jacket jock that the town loved, and the dad was so proud of him and all
John
this.
Cusack.
Yeah, Denny
Yeah,
LaChance,
yeah.
played by John Cusack. He's the golden child. And so yeah, Corey Feldman, he comes from a bad home. River Phoenix, he's playing Chris Chambers. He's his brother's pretty rough. Everybody thinks he's a thief. He is a thief, but he's complicated.
There's
He's a
more to
complicated
it, man.
Chris
Yeah.
is smart, and he's sensitive, and he's a good, loyal friend. He's the
Yeah.
heart of the movie. He's what really makes it work, and River Phoenix is fucking amazing.
he's-
As we'll discuss
Oh yeah.
throughout this,
Even
I
then,
think.
incredible performance.
Yeah.
These are the guys. They're four best friends. They're 12 years old. And Vern, after they finally let him in, because he doesn't even get the knock right. They just feel bad for him eventually. They let him in, and then he drops like the nuclear bomb. It's the last weekend before junior high starts, before they're going on to the next phase in their life in school.
Oh, yeah.
And he says, "You want to see a dead body?" Everybody's just on board.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah, they
Hell
do.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'd go right now if
Yeah.
you guys
Yeah.
told me that.
Their whole thing is it's going to make them heroes because they're going to find the body and they're going to report it to the news and they're going to get the mayor's going to give them a ribbon or something. And
Well, yeah, like whatever everybody thinks. Like these kids want to go see a dead body, and then kind of this gang head by Kiefer Sutherland also will want to go see the dead body later. Everybody just wants to do it for a little bit of fame. It sounds like there's not really any reason aside from that, just to get a little write up in
Yeah.
the town paper.
Vern hears about the body because Phoebe, that he is, he buried some pennies under his deck earlier in the year.
Keep saying that.
And
I think it just means feeble,
yeah, he's
which is like an ableist slur.
yeah. This isn't,
I don't know. That's not that bad.
this isn't like that James Woods.
It's not a
movie.
homophobic slur,
We're a
which there are a few of
podcast.
those in this movie.
Yeah,
Friendly podcast here.
We're all Phoebes.
Yeah, exactly.
I couldn't change my wife's tire yesterday, and like I actually really hurt my leg trying to kick it and get it off.
Well,
That's Phoebe if I've ever heard it.
if Jerry O'Connell's a Phoebe, I don't know what I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The guy's married to Rebecca Romaine.
You
Yeah.
could be like Rob Reiner. You're just so excited about it. Can you believe it? He's with Rebecca Romaine. He was a fat kid. Wow.
He always had personality.
Rob Reiner's also kind of like that creepy older guy who just loves ogling younger women. Just like, did you see the knockers on her? Whoa! I can't believe they let her out of the house. So, anyway, sorry, Phoebe that he is.
Yeah, Vern's under the deck of his house poking around. His brother is in Kiefer Sutherland's gang, the Cobras. They discovered a body the previous afternoon, and Vern's hiding under the deck, and he overhears them talking about it. They were boosting a car when they found the body, so they can't report it to anyone, otherwise they would have to admit they stole this car. So yeah, that's where Vern gets the top secret information. There is other people privy to the information, the Cobras.
But they don't want to tell anybody because they don't want to get in trouble. So the young lads, they have the advantage of time on their hands. And so they decide that, did you guys ever do this? Like, tell your parents that you're going to go sleep at so-and-so's house, but you're actually going to go somewhere else.
No.
I think I might have once. or
We
twice.
snuck out a lot. Like, I would just go to my best friend's place for a sleepover or whatever, and we'd sneak out. But, like, we didn't have to, like, do the... That seemed too high risk.
I don't remember ever having to like sneak out.
What was their thought about you engaging with dead bodies?
Yeah, you didn't, like, sneak out even? Like...
I snuck
I
out a
snuck
bunch.
in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would
We'd
sneak
sneak
in when I got like home late at night and the like doors locked or something. Or
Oh, sure.
I snuck in through a window
You
before.
gotta have the sneak-ins.
They often go together.
So the boys, their plan is they're going to each tell their parents that they're going to be sleeping over at somebody else's house, and that'll give them 2 days to hike out the 20 miles down the train tracks to find the dead body of a boy who was hit by a train.
Ray Brower.
Ray Brower. He's about their age.
Now, they know that they'll get hided when their parents eventually find out. I just love all the language in this movie.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
Yeah.
It's so true. Everything.
And a
But
big,
yeah,
like-
they're going to tan your hides.
Chris Chambers, he's the one. He's going to get hided the worst. Heck, his dad's going to hide him anyway, so it's worth a hide.
Going to get hided anyways. Might as well get hided for something.
Classic Stephen King. He's always got like the 50s slang and the good curses. There's a lot of good cursing in this.
We do get some flashbacks with Will Wheaton and his big brother, Denny. Yeah, and he's explaining that since his brother had died, that he's become like the invisible boy, and his parents just aren't all there. They're grieving, and they're not doing well about their favorite son being dead.
Even when Denny was alive, it was clear that that Gordy was always second fiddle. Every time they go back to John Cusack, he seems like he's like the best older brother ever. He sees Gordy, he recognizes where his talents are, he encourages him, he builds his confidence.
Yeah.
They have a
Gordy wants to be a writer, and
Yeah.
Denny encourages him on that.
Yeah, and also he likes hanging out with him.
Denny really is the better brother. The wrong brother died.
So right now,
He asks his parents where the canteen is. Oh, it's probably in your brother's closet. And that's when we meet Gordy's dad, and he's played by Marshall Bell, aka Quado from Total Recall.
Oh, shoot.
Canteen. So the canteen is in your brother's closet. You found it. You can leave.
He's like the ultimate dick dad. He has no interest in Gordy whatsoever.
Yeah, he's a dick.
he was a dick when Denny was alive, and he's even more of a dick now that he's dead.
If only we could have talked to the Quado in his belly. It might have been the soft part of their
The yin
father.
to his
But
yang. Yeah.
There's a little detail I like where it'll come up later, but Chris Chambers allegedly stole some milk money, and Gordy's dad knows this. I couldn't possibly imagine caring about the gossip of what's going on in the
Small
classrooms.
town bullshit.
Yeah. I hope I never find out
He's a criminal.
about anybody who steals the milk money in my
Yeah.
kids' classes, because I couldn't care. And you know
Well,
what? They probably need
You know
that
what?
milk money.
That whole
Yeah,
Chambers
seriously.
family is rotten. That Chambers family, the older brother hangs out with Ace and his cobras. They're all criminals. That's where Chris is heading, to a life of crime.
He
they're
doesn't
like
want to
the
go there,
McIsaacs,
but everybody's
just bad news. Root and stem. Get him out of this town.
Rip them out. That's what they should have done. Now it's too late.
But yeah, everybody's projecting all of this negative stuff on Chris, and he doesn't necessarily fit that glove, but everybody's just kind of forcing him to go that way. And that's kind of what he has to come to terms with. All the kids are coming to terms with something.
Nevertheless, Chris has a gun that he took from his dad.
He shows up ready to go, and he's packing
he's-
heat, and he's got some darts that he stole,
He's
some
strapped.
Winstons.
Oh, yeah.
Man, I'd hang out with this kid. He
These
seems
kids
super cool.
smoke. They were smoking in the tree fort earlier.
12's
while
too
they were
young.
cussing. They were cussing worse than Nick Nolte
Yeah.
in 48 Hours, calling each other shit heaps and all this other stuff.
Hey, Mitch, how do you know when a Frenchman's been in your backyard?
How?
Your garbage cans are empty and your dog is pregnant. Take that, Frenchie. That's the kind of jokes you get in this movie, and it's full of them.
Yeah.
All that juvenile humor. It rings so true.
There's
Yeah.
too
There's
many good lines to write down. It's hard to
Yeah.
keep up.
This was like the era when Stephen King was a kid. He always writes a story set in this era, like tinted with nostalgia and everything. And he knows all the great cuss words. And
I wonder how many of these lines that like just naturally got passed on to my generation, or if everybody just learned them from this movie. And that's where we got all of these lines and
Yeah.
jokes, because I swear to God, this movie was like my entire childhood. Like, everybody talked this way. We all had these dumb fucking comebacks and
Yeah.
like you're a girl, you're
yeah.
your mother, you're gay or whatever. Like those were the things that we said. So funny, I forgot to laugh. Like stuff like that. Like it was nonstop when I was a kid.
Yeah.
This movie's just so watchable and influential. I
So
definitely
true.
know that older people I knew watched it and kind of would say that stuff. So I think that it is just
But, like, these kids are the age of our parents, basically. We might have picked some of this stuff up from osmosis through them.
Yeah, so Chris has the gun that he took from his dad and he shoots it up in the street.
well, yeah. He gives it to Gordy, and Gordy's like, "Is it loaded? Hell no! What do you think I am?"
Yeah.
Jesus! Like, there's a great like.
Then
And
they
this,
have this,
this
like-
woman comes out from the store or whatever. They're like, that Tupper babe is mad.
She just like storms out and puts her hands on her hips and just has a look like, oh, those boys.
You
She'll
boys
tell
are
their
setting off
mothers.
firecrackers again.
Everybody
Yeah,
knows
so-
everybody's parents and mothers, and they're just ready. I'll tell your father. I'll tell your mother.
Gordy and Chris have like the most strangely sincere moment here now, where Gordy like throws on this really super pouty face, and then Chris like grabs him and looks in his eyes, and he's like, "I swear, Gordy, I didn't know the gun was loaded." Kind of struck me as weird. I don't know. I was like, that stuck out to me.
Well, they're very sincere.
Yeah.
Why is that weird, Finch?
You expect the gun to be
Yeah.
loaded?
It was a more innocent time. I don't know. I'm the cynical millennial.
Guess they're a
I
couple of gay wads. eh?
I'll tell you
staring
what.
at each other's eyes.
This movie has entirely too much of people putting their arms over other people's shoulders while they're walking. It's not comfortable for anybody.
Yeah, come
I've
on.
tried to do it before. It's not. It has to go, and people are doing it and acting like it's the most natural thing in the world. And
It's
fucking
true.
weird to
That
me.
is a terrible thing.
Nobody like. It's not good for anybody involved in that
good
situation.
Personal space is important.
Yeah, and also you know what else
You
is
just
important?
don't want to be dragged down by someone's arm when you're trying to walk.
And you
Slow
want to
me
kind of
down,
walk at your
man.
own pace, and
But it's a movie about
It's a-
kids supporting one another.
yeah, it's a movie. I guess I need to suspend my
Lame.
suspend my disbelief or whatever.
You have a real
It's
fucking axe to grind with,
it's a
with
fictional
shoulder
movie.
grabbers.
I don't like them, and they don't like me.
These kids are a bunch of jerks.
So after they run away from this waitress, they come across Kiefer Sutherland, and he walks on the screen, and he's just a ball of electricity. This guy is impossible to take your eyes off whenever he's on screen.
Yeah, it's really fucking
yeah.
scary.
He's just super intense, and he wants Gordy's hand, and Gordy's like, my brother gave that to me, and he like takes it, and Chris is trying to defend his buddy. Like every Stephen King bully ever, this guy is not afraid to fucking murder somebody. He's ready to gouge this Chris's eyes out with a lit cigarette.
That's another Stephen King trope.
I wonder if Stephen King was bullied, hey?
Maybe he was a bully. Maybe
But-
he tried to carve his name into someone's chest.
But Ace, that's Kiefer Sutherland's character, his
Yeah.
little fuckboy buddy is Eyeball, and that's Chris's older brother, too.
Vern's older brother is also in the gang. I don't remember what his name is.
Oh, is
Maybe
he?
he was Billy.
Oh, I
I
didn't
think.
catch that.
Yeah, he's the one who tells Ace later
Just
on
boil-
about the body.
bullying these little fucking kids. It's so crazy. Like, you guys are so tough.
very violently bullying them. Ace
See you later, girls.
It's a bullying pecking order. Ace bullies all the other guys in the Cobra's gang, and then they bully the little 10-year-old kids. And
It-
And
It's
I wish
all
we
old
could go
gangs.
back and just bully those
Bully all of them.
18-year-olds.
It's like Danny DeVito describing his childhood, and It's Always Sunny, how he's just like part of a gang of street toughs, and everybody was part of a gang of street toughs. And,
Yeah.
wore their leather jackets and were badasses.
You all had to be street toughs.
to survive.
If you didn't have a gang of street toughs, then life was just like a big open air prison back then, where you had to be part of a gang if you were gonna have any chance of surviving.
It was a better, simpler time.
And that's if you were white. God help you if you were any other color.
So
The boys rendezvous at the train tracks and begin their hike to Harlow, where the body is, apparently.
and it's 20 miles, and they just gotta follow the train tracks there pretty much like the entire way.
They're not hiking long
Yeah.
before they realize they don't really have any food packed. And they're like, oh, I got 60. They could scrounge up 68 cents to like feed them all from some food at Quiticolo's.
What are we supposed to do? Eat our feet?
They were contemplating hitchhiking, but then they kind of talked themselves out of it. They said it's pussy to hitchhike, so they decided not to do that.
Yeah, and they're walking, and as they're walking along the train tracks, kind of right before they all start scrounging up their change, they hear a train coming, and this is when you kind of learn
Yeah.
that one danger that walking on a train track poses is being hit by a train. That's where you find trains.
The train tracks are very important in this movie. They're kind of the yellow brick road of this movie. The kids follow the train tracks to find this body because they already know from the start that the kid that died was hit by a train. That's what they heard earlier in the movie. So they know if they just follow the train tracks.
The train's life, man, and the tracks are the path you have to follow to get where you want to go in life.
Like a twisted yellow brick road, because you also know from the beginning that this train is what killed this kid. There's going to be some danger from this train.
Teddy is just a lunatic, and he's trying to do a train dodge. He's standing in front of the train as long as he possibly can. Chris sweeps him off the track, saves his life, and Teddy, they wouldn't have to go so far to see a dead body if they just let this play out. Chris saves Teddy's life, and Teddy's pissed off about it, and then they squash the beef right away. They say skin it.
Yeah, that's like they're touching their hands. The skin of their hands.
They're rubbing
touching.
skin. I think they go like top skins,
the hand
and
skin,
bottom
not
skins.
Not the other skin, not the five skin, not
but
the.
Yeah, they're putting arms around each other. They're touching skins. It's gross, man. Yeah, like Chris is the ambassador of the group. He's the leader of the group, and Teddy's the crazy fuck of the group who plays chicken with the train, and so he's all fucked up from getting his ear burned by his dad.
Yeah, let's break this down. Like Chris, he's the head of the group. Mm-hmm. Teddy's the lunatic, or the wild card, I guess.
Yeah.
Wild card!
Wild card.
Vern is the fuck up. He's just the guy who fucks everything up all the time.
Phoebe. I'm going for it.
And so what, Gordy's like the heart of the group, or he's the brains, he's the quiet,
Gordy's the
sensitive?
storyteller.
Yeah.
He's the scribe. He's the bard.
He's their bard, and he's a good one.
Yeah.
So they've had this experience, and they decide they all pool their cash. Everybody's like, I got 60 cents. I got 30 cents. And poor Vern is like 7 cents. He pulls out a nickel and 2 pennies.
But Vern brought the comb. That was his contribution to this mission. Is he brought a comb, because once they get famous finding this body, they're gonna want they gotta comb their hair for the news.
He's got his eyes on the prize. So they all decide.
That's why that kid's got finished. That's how you land Rebecca Romaine. Jesus.
Yeah, Rob Reiner.
So the boys are kind of on their way. They need to go get some food, so they're gonna go cut through a junkyard. And meanwhile, I love how the movie does this. They'll just cut back to Kiefer Sutherland and his gang every so often, just to remind you that there's this menace, there's this threat just looming over everything. And they're playing some mailbox
baseball.
Yeah.
And they're really serious about the rules too, which is pretty funny. They're just hammered.
We've only played 3 innings. We don't want it to be an unofficial game.
Well, it's like Ace being a psycho bully again. He's like, you gotta finish out the game, boys. Like, we don't know if we want to play Ace. And he's like, you're gonna play the game. So yeah, he's the alpha of the group. He's got an iron fist around them.
Everybody's terrified of him, and rightfully so.
You guys ever have a friend like that who is like actually had everybody in the grip of terror?
Not at that level necessarily.
I don't think so. No.
I did. Once or twice.
Yeah.
I can gladly say they're both dead now.
Oh, nice.
So he's like the
probably Ace too.
Not the Renton. Who's that guy in Train Spotting? He's the Bigsby of the group.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
who's
Bigsby.
Bigsby. He's just ready to explode and just smash somebody's face in over nothing.
Yeah,
and
nobody
everybody
likes
knows
this
it.
fucking guy. He's a fucking psycho. Like,
a live
you
wire.
get into his car and it's like, oh yeah, come on, hop in. I'll give you a ride home. I'll give you a ride home. And then he's driving 200 miles an hour down the wrong side of the highway, and you're like, Jesus Christ.
Never
Like,
riding with this guy again.
And if you don't take a ride with him, he's going to take it personal and get offended. And
knife you or bottle you or whatever.
You put your seatbelt on. He's like, "What? You think I'm not a good driver? Take your seatbelt off."
Man, I've known guys like this.
Yeah.
It's fucking chilling.
Yeah. It being Kiefer Sutherland is even more so. He's just so...
His head is gigantic. Something about Kiefer Sutherland.
It's long. It's a long head. I found.
He's like an Easter Island fucking statue. He's so intimidating.
I'm made of stone.
I had nightmares about the Lost Boys when I was a kid.
So they're off doing their thing. The boys they have to cut through this junkyard, which would all be hunky dory, except there's this ferocious junkyard dog who is known throughout the whole county. And this dog, it's so big and it's menacing, and the scariest thing about it is that it can sick specific body parts, like taints and balls.
Yeah. Whatever.
I like how they're looking at the junkyard too, and they see all the crash cards, and it's like, hey Vern, looks like your mom's been out driving again. It's so funny, I forgot to laugh. And it's just like you get lines like that, and like Chris Chambers never misses, does he? Not even when the ladies leave the seat down.
Yeah, they're just always full of quips and one-liners, and they're shitting on each other all the time. They're chirping all the time.
Great 50s kid repartee.
So they climb over the junkyard fence, and they're going. Then they decide, like, nobody's around yet, so they're going to figure out who's going to go get the food. So they all flip their coins, and then they get a goocher. Boys ever had a goocher before?
I guess this is another 50s term. I don't know.
It sounds like
I got gooched.
it's a bad omen. It's like 5,000 crows flying into your castle if you're in feudal Japan.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the equivalent of what just happened with them all getting the same
You could interpret it either way. You could say a goocher's a good thing if you
I
look
was
at
confused on the goocher. What's a moon? What's a goocher?
What's a moon? I didn't hear them say a moon. That's a fully exposed ass crack.
I heard about
a
moons
crack.
and goochers. Moons and goochers, that's baby stuff.
Gaga goo goocher.
I'm like lost on this shit.
So I think a goocher is like when they're flipping their coins, they all got tails, I think. And the fact that they all got the same result, it's like a bad omen. It means that there's something bad's going to happen if they go through with it.
But they don't cover that in the movie.
I don't even want to think about what a moon is. So they flip their coins. They figure it out after their goocher. Gordy's the odd man out, so they decide that he has to go get the food. And as they're going, this is an example of some of the narration I like. They kind of throw some Yo Mama joke at him, and then Richard Dreyfuss chimes in. It's like, finding new and preferably disgusting ways to degrade a friend's mother was always held in high regard.
It still is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Game on. Yeah, so Gordy's on his way. He gets the food. His buddies have left him, and he sees them all running as fast as they can for the gate, and they're trying to scramble over. And this is when he realizes that this ferocious dog is going to come after him. And so he runs up, and he kind of like hops over the Chopper.
That's the dog.
Chopper's
Yeah.
the dog. Chopper's hot on his heels, and he runs up
Oh
over
God,
the fence.
he's gonna kill us. He's gonna kill us.
He's going to sick balls.
Yeah, he hears him say sick balls. But really what he said was sick balls. It's all about the intonation.
Sick balls, bro.
So Gordy gets over the fence, and then they look at Chopper, and Chopper's just like a normal dog.
He's a
normal,
golden
friendly dog.
retriever.
Yeah.
He's cute.
Chopper's a good boy.
He's a little bit older dog.
I want to give his belly a little scratch.
Not that threatening. Gordy makes some kind of comment about how this was like his first lesson in life, that things aren't always what they crack up to be,
Like
or
myth
something.
versus reality or
Yeah.
something like that. And then they start taunting this dog, and this like greasy junkyard guy comes up, and he's like, "Hey, don't you taunt that dog! Don't you taunt that dog, boys!"
Then he gets weirdly personal with all the
Yeah,
kids
He
too.
starts making like Gordy.
He's like, "You're Teddy Duchamp. Your dad's a loony.
But-
He's a fucking loser. He didn't storm the beach in Normandy. Kill yourself, kid. He's just so
Don't say that
mean."
about my dad. Loony, 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 loony. just like
This is Milo Pressman. He owns the junkyard, and he just cuts these kids to the quick. He like cuts down to their very souls and just like guts them for trespassing in his precious junkyard.
So
Like,
needlessly mean to
Yeah.
these children for
he's
going
making
into
them
his
cry.
junkyard. Who cares?
this throws Teddy into like a full-on rage.
I just know that if I came across like a group of 12-year-olds and tried to just start dissing them, I'd be the one crying. I
Oh.
would get eviscerated
Oh,
so
totally.
fast.
Especially these 12-year-olds.
They're fucking
Yeah.
ferocious.
These kids smoke.
Man, they would get your mama so good. You'd be done.
Teddy's screaming at him.
I'd be a charred corpse after that roasting I'd get.
That final "I know you are, but what am I?" just comes through, and you just turn to dust.
I'd be like a Mortal Kombat fatality scream. Where they just like show somebody like
Rip your
punching
spine.
their hand through my rib cage and ripping out my heart. Just like,
He went nuclear. That was the nuclear option. He just decimated them.
Yeah, and these are like the disadvantaged kids.
Yeah.
Which I guess
Which are the easiest
in that-
ones to get
in that
to.
time, I guess that's what you did. You just everybody in the
Yeah.
town hates the disadvantaged kids.
I think you mean the weirdos in 1950s parlance.
Teddy's really upset, and the boys are all really supportive, and they're all doing the thing where they walk and put their arms around him.
Yeah,
that
that
Vonn
weird
loves so
thing
much.
that's so lame.
I'm just squirming. I'm so uncomfortable to watch.
Yeah, everybody's really nice to him, and it's really sweet to see. And then they're kind of starting to laugh again and stuff. And Gordy's like, "Hey guys, we're going to go see a dead body. Like maybe this shouldn't be a party."
But it's true. They're going to see some heady stuff.
This is another great kind of Stephen King trope is he does these kind of Americana nostalgia bait things, these movies, but then he's always really good at like probing the dark recesses of them and like seeing like the trauma underneath, peeling back the skin. It's like, oh yeah, a lot of these guys' parents were probably war veterans who were fucked up in the head and shit like that. You know, lifting up the rocks and letting the roaches scurry around a little bit.
So then we cut back
So
to
we get Ace again, and he's talking misogynistic stuff this time. We just can't get enough of what a bad guy this guy is. He's like, you gotta get your... Man, Catholic girls don't put out. You won't get any pussy that way. You gotta get yourself a Protestant. And then, long pause, Jew is good.
I don't know, I thought that was kind of open-minded.
That's the three,
I thought that too, a little bit.
that's the three kind of women: Catholics, Protestants, and Jews.
Yeah,
In
New England?
1950s, yeah, exactly.
Now you know everything you need to know about all three. Thank you.
Two of them are easy,
Ace.
one is not.
Ace's Book of Life.
And they're giving each other scar tattoos on. They got
yeah.
some razor blades, and they're cutting the
Cobra.
word cobras into their arms. I'm thinking these guys are cool.
Yeah, they're the best.
I'd
I
go
wish
to the
I was
hop
a
with one of these
Cobra.
guys.
We should carve high and low into our arms.
Oh,
Guys wanna?
Don't tempt me, Frodo.
and so they're bickering, and it basically just kind of this cuts back to show these guys are bad apples, and a couple of them get into a bit of a fight, and one is like, yeah, I bet you $1,000 it's true. I bet you $2,000 as it is. And Kiefer Sutherland's like, if either one of you assholes had $2,000, I'd kill you both.
Yeah. So menacing, and you know he's serious.
Yeah. And every time the screen goes to Kiefer Sutherland, I'm just like, yes, this guy,
Yeah,
like he
yeah.
has such presence. Even he's 20 years old, and he
He's
just
amazing.
steamrolls everybody he's around.
One of the best Nepo babies ever.
Yeah.
He's a good one.
He earned it.
Yeah.
Maybe that gave him his chip on his shoulder that gives him a dangerous edge.
Nothing like his dad.
Two polar opposites.
I see the apples fallen mighty far from the tree. And so we cut back to the boys. They're still walking along the train tracks.
Gordy's sad that he's going to go to another school or something for smart kids.
Yeah, they've
And
got
Chris
this...
is all supportive, and he's like, you can do better than these wise guys with shit for brains. And you could be a great writer. And he's like, bullshit.
Bull true. Yeah, Mitch and I used to say this in high school.
Boy, there was another thing
good.
earlier in the movie where they do the chaplain kick on each other. I don't know if you remember. I used to do the chaplain kick on people in high
that's
school.
true. You were infamous for your chaplain kicks.
Like I would walk up beside people and then do the chaplain kick where you lift your leg up behind and like kick them in the back of the ass. And they were like, "What?
Nice.
There's no one behind me. He's beside me. How'd
Mitchell
that
was
happen?"
a little problematic in high school.
Cancel.
Lots of times he'd do it, and then he'd just kind of like
got-
shuffle past them. He'd like pick up speed and just kind of pass them.
It's like, well, that could have very well been a hand. Yeah. I got it from the movies. What can I say?
When you're a Mikajik, you can just walk right up to them and chaplain kick them.
You can chaplain kick him in the bum.
It was a different time.
So they're chaplain kicking each other, and then they get to
Yeah, we get some more good music on the soundtrack. It's all like
non-stop great tunes.
lollipop, lollipop,
Oh.
oh, lollipop, songs like that. And
Yeah, so they get to this massive bridge, and it looks great. This big trestle bridge, it's going across, I don't know how long, like 300 meters or something like that. It's a big-ass bridge, and it's going to take a while to get over, and there's just these big gaps in between all of the, what do you call them, like all the boards from the train tracks.
It's not a pedestrian bridge. It's not meant for people to walk over. It's just meant for trains. So there's these huge gaps in the boards, and you got to kind of slowly navigate your way across it. There are two options. They could cross that, or they could go 5 kilometers or whatever, 5-10 miles up the river to cross a bridge that people are meant to cross over.
Yeah.
I would definitely cross that bridge. It'd
It's
be
like
fun.
the train equivalent of the bridge at the end of Temple of Doom.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to
Yeah,
fall, and there's
yeah,
probably
yeah.
crocodiles in that river down there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that
so-
river doesn't look that deep. That's worse than crocodiles.
You know what's worse than crocodiles? Breaking your neck on a riverbed.
Yeah.
Don't worry, you die of fright by the time you hit the water.
And of course, this is one of the brilliant things is the train has already killed a boy. Like that, they're going to find the body of the boy who's been killed by a train. So
Yeah.
that kind of sort of Damocles is hanging in the air over them.
And Gordy's,
That
everybody's
train's
aware
a
of
boy
this.
killer.
Yeah, it's a boy killer.
And it has a taste for boy now.
It speeds
Yeah.
up. Shovel the coal on faster. There's 4 of them on the bridge.
Once they get that taste, you got to put them down. It's the only way.
Trains are kind of like grizzly bears.
You got to destroy them.
I just want to go back to trains here in our childhoods. but,
Welcome
like,
back to Traincast,
Yeah.
where we talk drops of Jupiter and trains from our childhoods.
Growing up in Stony Plain, we had train tracks that would go right through the middle of the town, and they go fast. In the middle of the city, they go really slow, but through town, they'd be going 60, 80 kilometers an hour. They're fucking ripping.
Chugging along.
And you could walk along those train tracks for a long time, and there's woods and stuff, and we'd find all kinds of stuff along those tracks. We found woods porn. As everybody does, there's woods
Nice.
porn scattered along every train tracks across this continent, I'm sure.
Somebody should geocache those.
We would often go out and hang out around there, but we would squish coins on the tracks. And one time we actually got caught by the police. We were skipping school. I think I was in like the 6th grade. The police caught us putting pennies on the track to squish them. Have you guys ever done that?
I've heard of it, but is it illegal or something?
I've gone.
Yeah,
to squish
apparently.
You're going to jail.
Apparently, I'm worse than Osama bin Laden because the RCMP really threw the book at me for that one. But they told me I could derail the track. I have a collection of squashed pennies that I've
Man.
squashed on those railroad tracks.
Did they?
That easy,
Did the RCMP
huh?
take you to like a prison and be like, "This is your future. You keep squashing pennies on the track like that, you're gonna wind up in here."
Like a scared straight program.
They took me to the RCMP station, me and my friend, and then called our parents, and our parents had to come get us.
Good God.
I know you. You look Slowbot. Your dad's a loony. He's a loony.
You're a fucking loser, kid!
Like, my dad stormed the beach of Normandy.
In Axis and Allies one time.
Yeah. You guys don't have train track adventures even.
You love leeches. You love squash pennies. This whole movie must have resonated
It
so much
spoke
more with
to
you
me.
than
It spoke
me.
to me.
I'm a city boy, through and through.
You're not allowed to go near the train tracks. That's illegal.
My
in
mom
the
wouldn't. She
city,
wouldn't let me
anyway.
go near the train track.
Yeah. Were you from the wrong or the right side of the tracks?
I think we know the answer to that question.
Senator, I plead the fifth. The threat of the train is looming large, and Gordy's putting his hands on the tracks and checking to see if he's feeling the vibrations from the trains, and it's all clear. So they decide they don't want to go the 5 miles one way, 5 miles back. They're gonna go the few hundred feet across the train tracks. So they're going, and fucking Burns just dragging his candy ass. He's just crawling as slow as he could possibly go.
Yeah, it was a little frustrating just how slow all of them were going in general. Just with the knowledge that, you could get killed by a train here. Maybe pick it up a little, but yeah, especially Vern.
And they're
Can
just
you believe he got Rebecca Romaine?
It's unbelievable.
So the train comes, of course.
but it's so tense. Like, you don't think it's gonna come. It's totally silent. It's like silent for the first time in the entire movie. All you can hear is the rustling of the wind.
It's a really good and effective sequence, and this is Rob Reiner being a good director.
Then the train comes.
Yeah, Vern drops his comb, idiot.
Loser.
He's not even gonna look good on the TV.
Gordy helps Vern get off the tracks just in time. They have to jump off the tracks, and they land in the dirt 25, 50 feet down from the bridge.
Yeah, they didn't make it to the level ground at the end of the bridge. They've kind of they've fallen into the.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
barely made it.
But they make it.
Nick of time.
It's a little bit of a moment like the River Phoenix in a role later on, but in Indiana Jones' Last Crusade, where they're just kind of like sitting at the edge of the cliff, and then they're back. They made it. It's okay. These kids, I didn't think they were gonna kick the bucket.
They totally ripped off Indiana Jones in this movie.
But again, like this train is making no effort to slow down whatsoever, and it's an engine car, like a locomotive pulling like 2 cars behind
he
it.
does ring the horn.
He rings the horn
that's
as he
nice of
speeds
him.
up,
I think you see the conductor sticking his head out the window, and he's probably like,
shaking his fist.
I'm gonna eat your souls. Ghost train. You're mine.
I'll be back. I'm gonna come get you coming the other way.
He's got tally marks that he carves into himself for each boy he takes.
I'll get you.
He's the Mr. Zaz of train of engineers.
Hey, what if we just go off the tracks? I don't.
Good idea.
We need to walk on the tracks the entire time.
So yeah, they make it out of there, and they get it's campfire night.
It's campfire, and they're having some marshmallows, and they send Gordy to town, and I kind of love that, you send a kid to town and he comes back with food and it's just like it's marshmallows, it's candy, it's just all garbage food. That's what a kid would get.
Makes sense.
When I was in high school or something like that, Mitch, I can't remember if you went to town, but we were camping one time and we ran out of food, so we scrounged up all our money and sent a couple guys the food, and they came back with 14 pounds of hot dogs and no buns.
I was privy to that. I was one of the decision makers to pull the trigger on that one. Yeah.
That's like a good wartime decision.
Buns are just empty nutrients.
I did the math, and our maximum caloric intake is if we just have lots of hot dogs.
Bun is empty calorie.
No
hot
buns,
dog
no
is-
condiments.
If these woods are tough. These woods are mean. If we want to survive,
We gotta be
need
tougher.
hot dogs. I'm a hot dogs.
And it worked.
It did. We made it through the weekend alive. It was,
They sat in the cooler so long that they started, like, the ice melted and the hot dogs soaked up the water and just, like, plumbed up into, like, big sausages.
Nice and plump.
Yeah, they were
it's
even
like-
more
We
delicious.
didn't even have to. It was like
You
that
got
Limp
the hot
Bizkit
dog
album.
flavored water.
Yeah.
So they're having at the end of their first day. They're having a little laugh. They're talking about some stuff, and everybody's like, "Gordy, tell us a story, Gordy, your stories are the best. We love your stories, Gordy. Tell us a story." And
They do some more of their great curses here. They say, they tell Vern he was probably so scared that he made Hershey squirts in his underwear. I thought that was a good line.
That's something I still hear.
Yeah,
I better
Hershey
check your
squirts.
pants for Hershey squirts.
Sometimes, yeah.
Hershey's been around since the 50s.
That's true. Gonna try to catch this movie in some sort of anachronism, but
So
really
far, so good.
no dice. Then here we cut to, I think, like another really good piece of directing by Rob Reiner. Gordy starts telling a little story, and all of a sudden, everything gets a little more whimsical. It's this big pie eating contest, and it's about this large fellow who's picked on by everybody in town.
Hey, Lord ass! Chow down, wide load!
They all call him Lard Ass.
He's Lard Ass Hogan. Everybody in the whole town called. Yeah, they just say Lard Ass again and again and again.
And, yeah,
Lord ass, Lord ass, Lord ass, Lord ass.
everybody's again. So when he's walking, the Benevolent Order of Antelopes, which is like this town's Shriners analog, or something, they've got their little Shriners caps on. They go boom,
Freemason
baba,
Club.
boom,
Yeah.
baba,
Yeah.
boom, every time he steps.
Yeah.
The entire town is unbelievably cruel to him.
Yeah. They got twins. They got, all sorts of people who don't like this guy. And so he's
They
going to
got
get revenge.
twins. Yeah, well, it's the pie eating contest. He's killing it. That's not what he wanted. He didn't want to win the pie eating contest. What he wanted was revenge. So he
Major
chugs a
plot.
bottle of castor oil and cracks a raw egg into his mouth before the set.
What's up with the egg?
I don't know, just to add to the grossness.
Get
probably.
things bubbling,
Okay.
get the stomach churning.
Sure, I got the cat. Okay, that makes
I
sense.
get a little bit of indigestion if I have an egg.
Okay, and what about if you have a liter of castor oil?
Delicious.
Smooths everything out.
Yeah, no, that's how you create a complete and total barfarama.
Yeah, so it's
He's lucky he just barfed everywhere.
a diorama. I thought it would have been a diorama.
Yeah, go a little
That's
further
icky.
down into the intestine. And
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a pie eating contest. They're just eating these blueberry pies, and he's just chowing down one after the other, and he just comes up, and they do such a good job with the makeup. Like, this guy's face looks so gross. It's just caked in pie and blue stuff, and it's just he looks like a monster.
yeah, I thought this was a more appetizing vomit because it looked like blueberry pie, like it was like, oh, this is a freshly eaten
Mitchell's getting
blueberry
hungry.
pie. Yeah.
So they made it with blueberry pie filling and cottage cheese.
That was probably instead of like craft services that day. They just
Everybody
ate
eat your
that.
pies.
Eat the pie and cheese.
But we're gonna expect a
Chug this
pound of
quart of
flesh.
castor oil.
Yeah, and so he's chowing down through these pies, and then he makes himself throw up, and then he just hurls right in this guy's face who's next to him. And this guy, he was mean to him. He tripped him when he came on stage, and then somebody else hurls on somebody else, and then somebody else hurls, and it's a total, to quote Wayne's World, it's a total peristaltic chain reaction. Everybody's spewing on everybody.
Yeah.
Nice.
And he's just so stoked. He just has a little smile comes on his face, and he's so happy with himself.
He accomplished
Story
it.
well told. And this is where Feldman, who's been interrupting and criticizing the story all the way, like
It's where he reveals what
Yeah,
his
Teddy's-
dark psyche.
Teddy's like, well, then what happens? And Gordy's like, that's the end of the story. And he's like, that's not an ending of a story. Yeah, fucking Teddy really doesn't get story structure.
I think he is revealing some of his father issues here, because for his idea for the ending is, What if Lard Ass went home and killed his father and then ran off? Now that'd be an ending. It's
Yeah, I know. That ending sucks, Teddy.
Yeah, it kind of came out of nowhere, Teddy. I don't know. Don't quit your day job.
Yeah, Vern also didn't quite understand the story. He was like, what I don't get is, did Lard Ass have to pay to get into the pie eating contest? No, he got in for free.
That's Stephen King taking a shot at all the people asking him with his stories.
Oh,
Yeah. He clearly struck the same rib twice as a xylophone, and it made two different tones. Can you please care to explain, Mr. King? Like, what the fuck do you know about storytelling? Like,
totally.
just leave it to the storytellers, right? It's totally unnecessary. It doesn't need to be in this movie really at all, but it does add flavor, and it's a total Rob Reiner touch.
Yeah,
and this
it works.
sequence is basically what we get 90 minutes of in the next movie.
Yeah, 100%.
If you like that, that's the next movie entirely.
It turns out that if it's just a little 5-minute sequence and it actually has a structure, I do like it quite a bit. But if it's just 90 minutes of meandering, not so much.
Yeah.
Rob Reiner took the wrong lessons from this movie.
I
Is that what happened?
Yeah.
guess he did. He should have took the right lessons from Jerry O'Connell.
Married a fox like Rebecca Romaine.
Wait. Are you kidding me? The fat kid.
The pudgy son of a bitch.
So they're keeping watch all night because they're scared of coyotes. They're alternating, as you do.
I like this. While they're kind of standing guard, they kind of each one has their own little personality. Where not Vern is just like scared shitless of everything. Teddy, he's just kind of talking himself up the whole time and narrating everything like he's some guy in one of his army shows that he loves to watch. This guy loves his army TV shows.
He's like a wannabe soldier boy, so he's standing there like, Lieutenant Teddy, standing guard, 0800 hours.
And everyone's like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, he's not letting any of them sleep. They have all got Chris's 45 handgun that they're like taking turns standing watch with.
Safety always off.
Yeah.
It's Gordy's turn to stand guard. He's thinking about his brother. He's a sad boy. He's just kind of having some fond memories. And then Chris wakes up and he kind of goes and comes to him and they have a really nice, touching moment together. And this is where we find out that the milk money that everybody knows that Chris stole, sure, he stole it, but he gave it back to the teacher because he felt bad. And then the teacher still threw him under the bus and came to school. She took the milk money for herself and came to school with a brand new outfit.
This is like River Phoenix's Oscar speech. He didn't get an Oscar. I don't think he was even nominated for an Oscar, but it's good enough to be like, and it's very dramatic.
Amazing.
This kid is awesome.
There's
man.
so much depth to it, and he's such a young boy at the time. He's like 16 or something like that when he shot this movie, 15, 16, and he just...
tremendous.
I was able to just get in touch with such a deep well of emotions, and it worked, and you believe, and you feel bad for him. I feel so bad for this kid.
And Will Wheaton has a moment later on where he has to do a pretty emotional performance too, and he does a pretty good job of it, but nothing compared to what River Phoenix does here.
River Phoenix is
Wheaton's
the real
good in
standout.
this movie, but yeah.
Yeah.
Phoenix is a generational talent.
All these little kids are really good actors. Jerry O'Connell is really good as Vern. Like, you feel bad for him too because everybody's always like picking on him, and Corey Feldman he's got this weird energy that he brings into it that really works. Teddy's like a little psycho, and Corey Feldman's like...
Feldman's totally believable. Jerry O'Connell I meant to praise earlier too. You're right. He is underrated in this movie. He's so fucking funny. His comedic timing is great. Every time he has to land a funny line, he does it just so perfectly. Like, I'm laughing. I couldn't believe how fucking good he is in this.
They all have great chemistry. They work together really well.
Yeah,
they all went on to like really good careers.
The
like,
script
mostly
really does it for them.
Like,
I think.
How do you do that? Do you lock 4 kids in a trunk with a knife and a chimpanzee, and they kind of bond and learn to come together? Like,
you lock 8 kids in a trunk with a chimpanzee, and the 4 that come out are the stars of your movie.
You go in there with Clyde. You're not coming out till you make a Speed Racer movie.
So it's the next day. Gordy wakes up and he's just looking at a deer, and the deer's like, hello. They have a touching moment. Then they're going, and they decide that the train tracks are kind of going off in the wrong direction, and they got to cut across this field. Looks like a totally harmless field, but like Burns, like, we don't know what's in those woods. Like, there's Uruk-hai or something like that hiding in there. I don't know what he's expecting, but
Teddy's really nailing him hard at this point. He's calling him king of the pussies, and he's really nailing the pussy thing and making Vern feel bad.
He's being a pussy. I'm the Teddy of this group.
King of the pussies.
You're all kings of the pussies. Yeah, they go through the swamp
They're going through the swamp and
they sink in, and Gordy gets covered in leeches.
everybody gets covered in leeches. The way they figure this out is they're kind of roughhousing a little bit, and it's the first time and the only time in the movie that Vern is actually kind of dominating somebody else. He's actually like bullying Teddy and just kind of like knocking the crap out of him a little bit, and it just gets ruined by leeches. This kid has no luck.
They're putting their arms around each other's necks in the water and roughhousing.
Like, Vern, there's something on your neck. It's like, yeah, right. Like, and then everybody sees like, no, there's something on your neck, and they run out and they're all just covered in leeches. Gordy's got one on his little. He's got one in his underwear.
It's Johnson.
He pulls it out and it's bloody.
And
it had a real feast in there.
And the question I pose to you boys is, if you get a leech on your Johnson, does it count as a suck job or what?
Carl Reiner over here. I will say, when I got a leech on me in my boyhood, it was not on my pee-pee or any private part. I think it was just on my leg.
That's a relief.
Now, this isn't my story to tell because I wasn't there, but my sister got into an accident, caused a car accident in Ontario with my mom because she was in a lake and she had a leech on her leg, and they had gotten into the car and they were on the highway out by Thunder Bay. And my sister screamed bloody murder when she saw the leech on her inside of her leg. And my mom went and hit a semi fucking straight on, head-on collision with the fucking semi truck on the highway.
Good God.
My God.
That could have been disastrous.
Yeah, I was at my uncle's place, and we're like waiting and waiting and waiting. We didn't have cell phones. Why haven't they come back yet? They were going for like 2 hours. They were gone all day. Everybody was fine, but leeches, not even once.
I don't like these leeches.
And that's just on the leg.
Imagine on the ding-dong.
He faints.
I probably would,
Faints.
too.
King of the pussies.
He's the king of the pussies, not Vern. Or Vern is like, I've never met anyone who fainted before. Wow.
So he faints, and then he's just kind of catatonic over it. They cut like the next time you see Gordy, he's just sitting in a tree and he's just staring off into the middle distance, and everybody's just talking about whether they should take him back. He gets kind of weird about this.
He's like, after that, he's determined that he wants to see a dead body. That's his reaction to having a leech on his pee-pee.
Yeah,
I can't have this leech on my pee-pee be the story from this journey. I need to have something else to tell.
Exactly. Yeah, that makes sense. He really had to steel himself after that one.
Yeah, and so they're like, should we go back? No, so they're gonna press on, and meanwhile the bullies are off doing their thing, and this is where Vern's brother tells everybody he knows where there's a dead body, but kind of before he does, Kiefer Sutherland's just kind of messing around with him. He's like, what's wrong with you two? You're acting like my grandmother having a conniption fit.
The Cobras are doing drinking and driving, and they're driving their cars.
He's driving on the wrong side of the road.
They're
and
playing
stuff.
They do
shit
the
playing
drag
towards
racing. This is a very important character moment for Ace. He's in the one car driving it, and the other car is in the right lane, and he's driving like headlong playing chicken with a log truck, and he just doesn't blink and runs the log truck off the road. And then like later in the conclusion of the movie, he's kind of playing a game of chicken with Gordy, but he does blink. Like he must realize that like Gordy is serious or something.
Yeah,
like it kind
good
of
point.
These two moments kind of parallel each other. Not to spoil the ending.
Well,
but
no,
Ace is
we're
king
there.
of the pussies.
Yeah.
We're at the endings.
Yeah, they
A
find
lean
the body.
movie. We've talked a lot, but it's lean.
Yeah. So yeah, after the chicken scene, the boys find the body. They see like his legs sticking out from the bush, and they're all struck by the heaviness of the moment and kind of steeling themselves. Like they're gonna go see it. They didn't come all this way for nothing, but they're kind of taking it all in for a moment before they go and face death.
Yeah, not quite what they expected.
It's pretty anticlimactic.
Yeah, as it would be. It's just a.
It's a dead body.
Yeah, yes and no.
It's bound to make you feel some things looking at it.
If you want to feel something, you got to actually be there to
Yeah, during the
have your hands around someone's neck as you watch the life come out of their eyes.
or you got to be a train operator.
You can just feel the train absorbing the souls of all the boys that you run over.
The train's an extension of my body, so I can feel everything.
It's not what they expected. I thought this body was in pretty good shape. Or maybe not. It's been like 48 hours or 72 hours since this kid died. He looked okay.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm not a forensic.
Well, yeah, I believe the
believe you
kid
are.
went missing a few days prior, so it's been closer, like 5 or 6 days or something like that. But Sure. So they all kind of go and they look at him. Gordy, like,
He's getting in his feelings about his brother after seeing the body.
yeah.
Chris is all sweet and supportive to him once again.
Such a nice friends.
Yeah.
They're just such nice friends. And they're like,
I remembered I cried the first time I saw this movie, and then the second time I kind of thought maybe Chris died in the end or something.
well, he does much later.
Yeah, he kind of does, but like wasn't why I cried. I realized why I cried was just the friendship and
Yeah.
you never
the
have-
memories, and like we'll get to the last part that really hits hard.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I
in
couldn't
a
quite remember the ending either. I've seen this movie a couple times before, like when I was a kid and everything, and I couldn't remember what happens to all the kids when they grow up. And they drop a couple hints throughout this movie that like something bad's gonna happen to Teddy when they're in the junkyard earlier. They're like, man, that guy's not gonna make it past 20. And so I kind of had this false memory in my mind that he like ends up killing himself or something after the events of the movie. But no, he lives.
He's a senator.
He becomes a
And
senator.
his name was Ted Kennedy.
Nothing bad happens to the Kennedys.
Except for that woman he ran over that one time.
A little car incident.
I'm gonna teach you a lesson that I learned from some train conductors.
Back in Castle Rock.
Ace and the gang show up to get that body.
They want their
Everybody
And
wants the body.
this is beautiful. Like, the boys don't back down. Chris shows down with Ace. Oh,
Gordy
Gordy comes
pulls a
with the
gun.
gat.
Chris is talking. Chris is exchanging words with Ace, and Ace is about to like disembowel him or
He
something
pulls
like
out the
that.
switchblade.
Yeah.
Like,
This
like-
takes a lot of balls, man. And they're like, suck my fat one. And he's like, you got one more chance, or and I'll let you live. And it's like, go home and fuck your mother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ace is like, what, are you gonna kill all of us, Gordy? And then Gordy's like, no, only you, Ace.
Kiefer Sutherland is so good too, because like in that moment he's like, oh shit, like he plays it on his face so well that he realizes this kid is 100% serious.
Yeah.
And there's gonna be 2 dead bodies here if I don't back down, because this kid's gonna fucking kill me, and he has no doubt in his mind. And Gordy probably would have, because he's
in a weird mood after that
He's in a weird
leech.
mood. He's in a very. There comes a time in every young man's life, whether you decide whether you want to go on a massive killing spree or maybe you just go home and go to junior high. And this is where Gordy's at.
I still haven't made that choice. Next year, I'm getting my grade 7.
But yeah,
Next year I'm getting my 45 handgun.
But do you like Mitch is right? There's here. Ace blinks. He leaves and he's like,
It's like Cobras, let's go.
yeah, we're never gonna forget this. This
Yeah.
is big time, baby.
I was thinking there must be ramifications from this because, Ace is. They see these kids every day in town, and they've already been bullying them. So these kids probably got a beat down for like the next 5 years every day because of this.
Well, if they did, he doesn't say so in the narration.
For the next 5 years, we had atomic wedgies
Yeah.
every day at lunch.
I have never walked right since.
But shit, has anyone?
I still can't get my hair out of that swirly position. It just has a natural swirl to it now.
I'm walking around like a troll doll. My hair is just all swooshed up. So they all go back to town, and they
Yeah,
all
we get
kinda-
more cringy narration. Somehow the towns seem different. Smaller.
Yeah.
I'm like, I get it. They grew up. They grew up. It's a coming of age story. I don't need the narration.
We were no
It's
longer
my biggest nitpick with the movie.
little girls.
100%.
We were
The narration isn't
little women.
exactly.
Yeah,
That's
the,
This is our Little
which
Women.
isn't from the book.
No.
And that's something
I guess they
I've
thought
always
it went
thought.
without saying in,
Yeah.
in that book. But
Yeah, then we do get some narration at the end, which is interesting. The boys do split up after this, and that's kind of the last time they all hang out together like this.
Yeah, we get a little Animal House moment. We find out what everybody did and what they did after.
As time went on, we saw less of Eddie and Vern, and like this.
Yeah.
This hit so hard. Like I know
Yeah.
people post like those dumb Facebook memes, and it's like you probably didn't realize at one point that it was the last time you go and play outside with like your elementary school friends or whatever, and it's like, fuck you.
there was a day
I'm
where
not
that
crying.
happened.
Fuck you. There is a
Yeah.
day. You just don't even realize that at some point it was just the last time you hung out with those people and had those adventures, and that's what the movie's really all about.
Yeah.
And those people did form some part of your identity, did encourage you, did hold you back in some way, did teach you some lessons.
They're people you'll never forget. You carry them with you always. I guess that's one reason I can keep coming back to this movie is it resonates with me. I have friends that I've been friends with for a long time. I have friends that I've drifted apart from, and it all just it strikes me as it comes from a place of realism, and I like that.
I definitely don't have any friends that I've known since elementary school left.
I have a couple I'm friendly with. I don't see them all the time, but
I have one or two.
I'm in touch with a few for sure.
They break
But
down.
they're not the ones I was really close with back then.
You wedged them
And it's
then,
like-
and now you're just...
It's like someday, any day now, like I'll be dead from a stabbing, and one of them will be reading about me in a car and like wistfully recalling the time we got arrested for squishing pennies on the tracks or whatever. Or, vice versa. I'll be reading about him being dead or whatever. That's where this movie hits hard.
Yeah, they break down everybody's individual things that happened. Teddy and Vern kind of drifted apart from Chris and Gordy. Chris and Gordy went on the college track of classes, and they kind of remained friends through college. At the point where this story is taking place, Gordy hasn't talked to Chris in like 10 years.
But he went on to become a lawyer.
Yeah.
So that was good for Chris. And he
Yeah.
died because he tried to break up a fight at a fast food restaurant or something like that.
And he was always the diplomat and the ambassador in their friend group, so it makes sense that, he tried to break up a fight and got stabbed in the neck.
Always the diplomat.
Again, a couple of nuclear options in this movie.
Some fucking altercation over a junior bacon cheeseburger.
Yeah.
He went out the way he lived.
I spent 8 years in law school.
Excuse me, gentlemen. I couldn't happen but notice that you're having a conflict. I specialize in hamburger law.
It's actually a little different than the ending in the book. In the novella, The Body,
What, does a clown come to life and eat all of them or
it kills
something?
them. In the novella, Gordy is the last man standing. Teddy died in a car accident. Vern died in a house fire, and Chris gets stabbed
must
during
have-
it. Yeah, and Gordy's kind of remembering his childhood friends as the last man standing.
Vern died in a house fire? That
Yeah.
sucks.
In this Vern.
You know what? Who started the fire? Because I bet they had some sort of tongue teen like they did in that Simpsons episode where they're all trying to find Vern's penny jar.
Oh shit,
Last man standing gets the pennies
man!
$6.38.
I wonder if these guys pop
with
up
interest.
maybe in some other Stephen King story. There's like a jar of rare Abraham Lincoln pennies that gets found or something, because he does do that a little bit sometimes. Connects his stories together in that way.
I bet that's somewhere in the Dark Tower series.
Yeah.
So, we see Gordy, grown-up Gordy, and he kind of just is finishing up his little article that he's writing about this, and it says, I never had any friends later on like the ones I did when I was 12. Jesus, does anyone?
It's a great touch
Great
that
line.
those last two lines aren't narrated. You just see them like typed out on the computer. I thought that worked really well.
Agreed, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're very good lines.
And then it's just him playing with his kids on the front lawn. Like he's like just kind of sits back for a minute and he's like, friends.
Yeah.
And then he goes out and plays with his kid.
I think as the movie kind of closes, the fact that you realize that all of the narration was written out makes it a little bit better for me.
That's another Stephen King trope. Is
He's always got to have a writer.
yeah, like again, like 80% probably of his stories, the protagonist is a writer.
Mm-hmm.
He's not gonna write a lumberjack. He doesn't know what a lumberjack does.
You don't know. All right, so that's Stand By Me. That's a Rob Reiner's Stand By Me. All right, we'll be back after a short break.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Welcome back to High and Low. We're talking about Rob Reiner's 1994 film, North. Indeed, one of the most hated films of all time. I believe this was like the cover film for Roger Ebert's I hated this movie. He hated every simpering little bit of it. Just
Right.
one of the most famously critically reviled films of all time, and I don't think it was a hit with audiences either.
I don't think anybody liked this movie.
Rob Reiner liked this movie. He defends it to this day, says it's very funny. It's one of his best movies.
Okay, that's overstating it a bit.
I mean, he also defends Joe Biden, so...
When I watch it, I feel like it should be funny. There's jokes in here, and just for some reason they're not landing. But I think if like Mel Brooks was doing it, this movie could have been hilarious. But I don't like. I have examples that I wrote down later on. But there's jokes. There's setups, punchlines, and deliveries and punchlines. And for some reason, I'm not laughing. And I think it's just everything's
Because
too
it's not
much.
fucking funny! There's nothing funny in it! The film is based on a story from the 1984 novel North.
Yeah.
The tale of a 9-year-old boy who becomes a free agent and travels the world in search of the perfect parents. That's the whole title, folks.
Yeah.
It's very long, and it really explains the whole story.
I think it's like a children's picture book. The guy who wrote the book also wrote the script for this movie. And like when I was watching this movie, thinking of it as a children's storybook.
Alan Zweibel.
Alan Zweibel. Yeah. I was watching this movie, like thinking of it as a children's storybook. I'm like, I could see the children's storybook here. Like,
So-
I could see, like, the boy who travels around. And,
You know what works with children's storybooks? They take about 5 minutes to read.
Yes.
And they're interesting
Yeah,
and
yeah,
engaging
yeah.
for about 5 minutes. And when you take that idea and you stretch it out over an hour and a half, I'm just fucking ready to... I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted by 10 minutes into this movie.
yeah.
I'm exhausted when I read like a 30-second children's book with my kid.
yeah. As you're watching the movie, you're like, this isn't working, but I can see, given the source material, where it came from. Like, I know where this movie came from.
So it's an honest adaptation.
Maybe. I don't know. I never read the North story, but it is the guy who wrote the script for this also wrote the book.
I wish we had the book here. So we could
Me
read
too.
it
I
on
wanted
air.
to, like, download it or something, but I...
You can do adaptations of children's work. Another kind of similar thing, I haven't seen it, but I've heard that the Dr. Seuss is like the Cat in the Hat is also just shitty. It's another example of like taking a 30-page thing and turning it into an hour and a half long movie. It just doesn't work. But if you take something like Matilda or James and the Giant Peach, where there's an actual story, it's a book. It's like it's a short novel behind it. There's more meat on the bones, and you can flesh it out over an hour and a half. But this movie, there's nothing there.
Yeah,
It's
or
just-
you could just be a good filmmaker. You can take a bare bones story. I mean, I'm trying to think of an example, but like Where the Wild Things Are has like 10 pages. They made a movie out of it. It's not great, but like you're trying something. It's like a creative filmmaker with creative people working on it.
Looks good.
This movie was trying something, and I don't know why it didn't work, but it just angered me.
Yeah.
I think it's because the
Boundless
story
rage.
is shit.
Yeah.
I haven't read the book. I think it's a shit idea. This kid being a free agent, fuck that.
So this kid, 2 minutes into this movie, I'm losing my fucking mind because the whole
He's the best.
the whole opening credits and everything, you're just zooming in on this kid who lives in a goddamn mansion, and you take like 5 minutes to just slowly look at all the fucking toys he has. And are any of them? A couple of them are on shelves. Most of them are on the floor. I'm gonna roll my ankle if I go into that house. I'm just
Did you catch that?
And all of them are animated, and they're rolling around everywhere.
They're all part of his journey. There's one from Texas. There's a snow globe from Texas.
how fucking
and,
clever. What kind of a kid needs like 10 snow
Oh, what
globes?
magic!
Wasn't it?
We get this.
And-
We get this knockoff John Williams. Pling plong pling 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 plong pling plong. Score. It's not John Williams, I don't think. Whoever did it.
Normally,
they're
I
trying to
don't-
be John Williams.
This
if
this
you
opening
catch
credits kind of reminded me of the serial killer Jack Frost opening credits. Did you remember how the camera was
little
like
bit,
going
yeah.
over all the Christmas ornaments
Better.
and stuff?
Better opening credits.
Jack Frost?
Yeah, Jack
Yeah.
Frost
Wow.
for sure.
We never thought we would.
Although
say
that voice
but-
was really annoying. I mean, maybe it's a tie if you include the voice.
Normally, I don't like to just shit on a movie the whole time, but this movie elicited like this weird reaction from me, and I didn't like it. So I think as how I just like pretty well slather nothing but praise all over Stand By Me. I might just dunk on this movie for the next
Yeah.
little bit.
I think you have a pass, too.
Oh,
I was pretty mad watching this.
I don't know why.
Yeah.
I've never been this mad watching a movie, and I don't know why.
And-
Our listeners know that I get mad watching some shitty movies already for this podcast. I'm hoping next time we're going to watch a B movie or a low movie that's more fun or better.
entertaining at least.
But Mitchell
Yeah.
loved North.
Well, I didn't love it, but
Mitchell's
like,
crying. This is his favorite book and movie.
maybe it is one of the worst movies of 1994. This was Siskel and Ebert's. Every year they would do their show where they pick the worst movie of the year. In 1994, they didn't tell each other the list before the show. They would just like reveal it to each other on the show, and they both picked North.
That's sweet, man. Couple of pals, eh?
Yeah.
When I look at 1994 and I look at the lowest ranked movies, it's hard to argue that it might be one of the worst, but you've got movies like It's Pat, which is ranked lower on Letterboxd.
I'm looking at my rankings for 1994. Disclosure, the Michael Crichton adaptation, is down at the bottom. The Santa
Haven't seen
Claus,
that.
starring Tim Allen.
Oh, I
Double
love that.
Dragon.
When I was a kid.
I saw
Double Dragon. If you
Oh,
thought
yeah.
Dragon Ball Evolution was bad, that one was
Yeah.
pretty bad. D2. I know everybody has a lot of nostalgia for that, but I
not
watched it
good.
not long ago. It's very bad.
doesn't
In the
hold
Army
up.
Now with
Very
Pauly
bad.
Shore. All of
Oh,
these
wow.
movies are better than North. Street Fighter.
I had It's Pat as my worst. Followed
I
by
haven't seen
Wagons
It's
Me
Pat.
either.
and Death Wish.
Oh, we should do
5.
It's Pat. We
Death
should-
Wish 5.
Yeah.
And what was the other one?
Wagons East.
Oh, Wagons East I have ranked a little higher. There was a few funny parts in that. That one has Richard Lewis. He's delightful.
Richard Lewis is good. Double Dragon's also way down there for me too.
Double Dragon I liked when I was a kid.
Me too. Yeah.
I thought.
that's
Do you remember that guy with that big? It looked like he had a big ass snake around his neck after he got jacked up on
Bobo.
the juice. Yeah.
yeah. He's a character from the video game, but he doesn't have that same origin.
I couldn't get enough Double Dragon.
Oh yeah, I'll never watch North again.
I'd pull out one of my molars rather than watch North again.
I'd let Kiefer Sutherland burn my eyeball out with a cigarette.
What if in a couple of years your guys' kids come to you and they're like, "Dad, I want to watch North. I want to watch North with you."
Then I'm going to annihilate my own family.
Like, so if one of my kids came up and wanted to watch North with me, I'd just be like Adam Sandler and Billy Madison when the kid's like, I can't wait to go to high school, and just like grabs him by the head, like, don't you ever say that.
Put the
Don't
fear
you
of
ever
God
say
in them.
that. Don't, dear God.
Sometimes you gotta lay down the law.
Thank God that will never happen.
The only reason people know about this movie is because it's notoriously bad.
This is one of those movies that's the full version of it is on YouTube because no one gives a shit about it. So you could just, you at home can look it up right now on YouTube and watch it.
It is kind of bizarre. It's a weird movie. It has a huge cast of like A-list stars who are in it just to hang out with Rob Reiner and Frodo, I guess.
They're just there to make a new classic.
Yeah.
There's so much talent behind this movie. That is what maybe makes this movie really crazy. That's really worth looking at. Is there's like so many big stars in this movie.
So I'm just going to read down the cast list a little bit. So Elijah Wood is the titular North. Bruce Willis is the narrator, and he pops up a bunch of times throughout the story. John Lovitz, he's a lawyer. Matthew McCurley, he's North's buddy. He doesn't go on to do anything. Jason Alexander, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, they're North's parents. Alan Arkin, Dan Aykroyd, Reba McEntire, Kelly McGillis, Graham Greene, Kathy Bates, Abe Vigoda, John Ritter, Scarlett Johansson's first movie. Like, fucking a lot of Hollywood talent.
Belzer.
Yeah,
Richard
yeah,
Belzer's in it,
Belzer.
yeah. Everybody
yeah.
in this movie is somebody. Like, as I'm looking through this cast list, every single one is a link to that actor's Wikipedia
Yeah.
page.
And a movie made by A-list talent.
I mean, Rob Reiner himself. Again, he is a
Coming off one of the hottest streaks in
Yeah.
memory as a director.
Most
I
of
don't
them
think
are
he
pretty-
made a good one after this, but
that was it, eh? It was all
Ebert was like,
downhill.
he's a good director. He's made good movies in the past, and he probably will in the
Yeah.
future. But will he ever recover fully? I know I won't, was basically the closing line of Ebert's review of this.
Yeah, he also had that kind of backhanded praise for Elijah Wood, where he's like, he doesn't work in this movie, but he is a talented young actor.
Yeah, no, he
He's
liked
a-
Elijah Wood.
He's pretty
Yeah.
good for a Phoebe.
He's a pretty-
Total
yeah.
feed. Yeah, it's crazy to think just a few years away, Elijah Wood would be flying down to New Zealand.
One of the biggest franchises ever.
Elijah Wood pulls out a couple of his Frodo faces that we'll see later on in his career as North, and it's kind of weird to see those on like a 14 or 15-year-old boy, however
He's
old he
great.
is in this.
He's got like a production company or something now. He's produced like a bunch of really weird, interesting movies. Like he produced and he starred in the remake of Maniac.
Have you seen it?
I haven't seen it. I saw the
It's
original.
super good, dude.
I wanna check it
The
out.
original and the remake are good.
If
you're into
the original,
movies,
super gritty and like nasty. Yeah, I like
this one
the
is
original.
upsetting too. I wouldn't recommend it to anybody listening to this podcast, but
yeah.
I would recommend it only to you, Mitchell.
Yeah, someone who has girded their loins against such.
He wouldn't even recommend
If
it
you
to
don't
everybody
mind-
on this podcast.
Yeah.
If you don't mind realistic portrayals from the first person of somebody butchering women, then
Which we know
I
you
could
don't.
handle them. Third person is my favorite, but
it's good.
yeah, and he's produced like a bunch of other weird, interesting shit since then too. He's got that Lord of the Rings fuck you money where he can do whatever he wants, basically.
Dude, and he's
I don't know how much money did he really get from it.
I think he's getting huge residuals. Plus, he's
Yeah.
he's doing all the Comic-Cons, all the whatever. He's got Flipper residuals too. Getting some of those Paul Hogan ziggies.
Paul Hogan in that shit.
Yeah,
that was his other movie other
Who was
than
that?
Crocodile Dundee.
It
Paul-
was Flipper.
yeah. But Paul Hogan was the boat
Was Flipper the
captain.
TV show?
Flipper was
That's
a TV show, and then they made a movie about it, starring Paul Hogan and Elijah Wood, and I don't know how many dolphins.
Flipper was the old school TV show.
Yeah.
with the dolphin.
Okay, and then I'm confusing it maybe with Sequest DSV with Jonathan Brandis.
Is that like a deep sea sex crime thing, like Law and Order SVU?
You can see this whale was used in this hole, and that hole too. The one on top.
That's a
I'm
suck
just gonna
hole.
go ahead and say this blows. Richard Belzer.
So yeah,
All right.
So-
So we got Elaine and George, basically at the start of the movie.
and I'm with it. You put
So much
Julia
heat.
Louis-Dreyfus and Jason Alexander, they have great chemistry. Put them in a scene together, and I'm having a
And
good time, even in this piece of shit.
Probably two of the biggest stars on television at that time. I think Seinfeld was still airing at that time. So,
Yeah, definitely.
Belzer's nipping at their heels, though.
like Munch, man, Detective Munch. Do you know how
He'll
many
outlast
shows
him
he's
by-
been in?
Like every show, I think. He's
He
at least
connects
walking
every
past.
show.
They're having dinner, and
Is
They're
there
just bitching. They're just complaining, and they're just complaining over each other. And they're not listening to one another. Just
It's not
going,
related.
I've been working at the television thing, and we're going to this. And there's the kid sitting in the middle, and he's upset. He's feeling like he's not seen because, oh, I'm North. I'm such a perfect little kid.
He's
Oh,
the most crybaby.
important little kid in the entire world.
I'm so fucking
I
great.
bet everybody would like to adopt me.
So he's sitting there, and he's having a coronary, as Bruce Willis narrating says. Here we go. With another annoying narrator.
Yeah,
This one much more annoying.
I recognize this narrator from Guess Who's Talking.
That's
He's got the
He
Guess
made a lot
who's
of money
top?
in the early '90s doing voiceovers
that's
for kids.
like
It's
that would
nothing
never
funnier.
happen today, or maybe it would. I don't know, but it just seems like such a way to like pinch a couple pennies on your movie is like maybe don't get one of the biggest stars in the world to do the voiceover narration.
Well, but then one of the
Play
biggest stars in the world comes in about 5 different wardrobes.
probably goes on your poster. I don't know.
Yeah, now it'd be like Chris Pratt or something.
Yeah.
Somebody with absolutely no
100%.
character, and everyone would be like, whoa, cool,
Yeah.
hey, parents?
There's very few modern equivalents
nothing.
to this.
So they're having their dinner. North starts having a coronary. This is an early example of him doing one of his Frodo faces, where he really looks like he's being possessed by the ring, and his mouth is just kind of puckering up. It's like, oh.
As Jason Alexander and Julia Louis-Dreyfus are arguing, it's like building more into a crescendo, and Elijah Wood's getting this like heart palpitation thing going on. Maybe he's having a heart attack, maybe he's having a panic attack, and then Jason Alexander has the final line where he says, I think I saw some blood in my stool, and Elijah Wood just screams and topples out of his chair. That's like the straw that broke the camel's back.
That sounds funny, but it's not.
It's not. So like before this has happened,
But it could be.
It almost could be.
that's the
it
thing, is, like,
almost
there's
could
so
be.
many things that could be.
You
but
said
Yeah.
Jason Alexander said, I have blood in my stool. Like, these are things that that are in this movie on a regular basis,
Yeah.
and they're not funny. They should be, but they aren't.
No.
something's just amiss, and I don't know what it is exactly. North, he's this perfect kid who has the best grades. He's the best actor, and he's
Best
the
athlete.
Best athlete, like he's the best at everything. And after he has his little conniption fit here,
He's the Ubermensch.
he's the, everything starts slipping. He starts forgetting his lines and his plays. He's failing. He's missing all his shots in basketball or whatever sport he plays.
Psychological crisis.
Oh, he's a pitcher. He starts pitching way off to the side, and they let him walk 8 people before they come out and say, "Is everything okay, North? Like, what's wrong with this coaching staff?" That's what I want to know.
I like it when we see him doing a production of Fiddler on the Roof, and he's like, "If I was a rich man."
I was Tevye as a younger man. This movie spoke to me.
You were?
Yeah. For a little bit when I was doing musical theater lessons.
Nice.
Yeah, did some fiddler.
When was that? When you were like 29?
22 or something like that. So this North kid, he stinks. He's too precocious by half. The narration is telling way more than it needs to. North goes to his thinking spot, which is a mall.
Yeah, this is funny because we see him like pass by a treehouse. We see him like pass by like a little nice babbling brook, and like he's going through the woods and all these like nice looking spots where a kid might have a thinking spot, and then he goes up to the mall. That's kind of funny. And he goes up and it's a furniture store in the mall where he just sits in this big leather recliner type chair.
Yeah, and
kind of relatable.
He blends in with all the other kids who are just waiting for their parents.
Malls really were the enemy at this time.
And then Bruce Willis comes up in a big pink bunny suit because he's the Easter bunny.
Hey, kid, what are you doing? Hey, kid, what's going on? What's wrong? Hey, Bruce Willis, I'm so cool.
I'm just going to take a minute and sit and talk to a complete stranger who's a child. This is totally fine. Yeah, I'm dressed up like the Easter bunny. There's nothing weird about this.
Yeah, he's like, what are you doing out here? He's like, hey, I'm independently wealthy. 4th of July, I might be Uncle Sam. Christmas, I might be Santa Claus. My life's a holiday. And North's like, no, well, not mine. I walked 9 Panthers and hit my coach's wife with a pitch, and all the other parents think I'm great. North flosses. North never spoils his appetite.
All the other parents use North example as leverage against their kids to
North's the greatest. North doesn't mind when we undress him and make him take pictures.
His crack. He shows his crack.
His crack.
North's crack becomes a big plot point later on.
And I don't appreciate that.
Yeah, and this is really where the movie really lost me. It was this line from Bruce Willis. He goes, doesn't he know? Well, but your parents are sitting on a gold mine. Like, it's just so weird to commodify children like that. That whole idea behind it is like, he's a particularly good boy, and he needs to be treated as such a good boy. And this boy deserves all the extra love because he's better than the other boys. He's an extra good boy. He's a special gold mine of a boy.
All these other boys are pieces of shits and feeds.
This is really like
Stand By Me is a movie where you're kind of exploring boyhood and what it means to come to terms with coming to the next stage of your life. I don't know what North is trying to tell me about boyhood, except that I should be like this fucking, everybody should just lavish me with attention all the time. It's not true to my experience at all. I never really wanted this. And like whatever North wants, the story is just so fucking weird. And it's not like other whimsical movies like a Matilda, like where Roald Dahl.
Yeah, Roald Dahl is the perfect thing to compare it to, really.
Yeah, like he writes these stories where I can relate to, and there's still all this magic and this whimsy going on, and I can't relate to anything in this movie from any perspective.
This is where we meet this annoying little fuck.
I'm just interested. I'm going through my notes, and there are things like, this kid fucking sucks. I hate this shit.
I hate this fucking kid. I'm glad he never worked again. He doesn't even have a Wikipedia page.
You have to admit.
I'm glad. Fuck him.
What's his name? Winchell? Alex Winchell or something?
Winchell can go fuck himself.
I thought he did a great performance here. He made you hate him. He's a piece of shit in this movie.
He's a real Marlon Brando.
We're talking about this.
He's dressed like a 1950s journalist. He's got the fucking visor.
He's a
and
newso, a newsboy.
He's the editor for the local for the school newspaper. And what North goes and he tells him that he has a scoop that he doesn't want to live with his parents and he wants to leave his parents.
Yeah, and he also has a scoop that North's grades have been slipping. He tells him he needs new parents in his front page news. North's out of here, but he tells him that he's going to leak the story about North's grades slipping if he doesn't go out and go find new parents.
So give him the big story.
So North isn't so much about
this guy's
childhood.
like Machiavellian.
It's about life as an A-lister. and you feel like this is Rob Reiner, and maybe people didn't like his movie that came out just before as much. And the sheen's starting to come off, and he's like, why don't people lavish me with attention? Why don't people love me? Can't they see how good I am? I'm going to shop my way around. That's why he made this movie through Castle Rock instead of Columbia House from his old, like, Stand By Me.
So that's a deep reading.
That's right. So this
We'll
movie
have to have Reiner on the cast, see if that's true. I mean,
does North.
what was his
also-
last movie? A Few Good Men? Wasn't that like a
Did he do that
commercial
one?
smash?
He did do a few. Yeah, that was his last movie.
He did Ed TV,
Misery
I think.
was the last one before this.
Oh, Misery.
Oh.
Yeah.
Critical Smash. Nobody's seen any of his movies since this.
The final nail in the coffin.
He's still working with A-list talent. People want to work on Rob Reiner movies. Tommy Lee Jones was in Shock and Awe. He doesn't need to
Oh.
work. He doesn't need to work.
A-lister. Tommy Lee Jones is filling seats in the
He's
local
a-
cineplexes. Gen Z can't get enough
Okay.
of Tommy Lee Jones.
I'm not gonna defend Rob Reiner. But let's
He's
see
gotta
who's in
be-
Shock and Awe here.
They've both got to be
Woody
87.
Harrelson, James Marsden. Hey, he's in Sonic these days.
Oh.
Rob Reiner, Jessica Biel, Mila Jovovich. Anyways, good talent. Anyways, maybe not A-list.
All the libs.
Get some Trump supporters in there.
Can we get James Woods, please? So basically, yeah, anyway.
So-
he blackmails him, and he says, you better get a lawyer.
Yeah. And North tries to get a hold of his dad, and here, this was a funny bit, actually. Jason Alexander, North's dad, he works as a pants tester, and he's very proud of the fact that he's number 6. He's number 6, and they go and they show him in a pants testing facility, and it's just a bunch of different people just trying on different styles of pants in different environments, and it's funny. I laughed at
It
that.
kind of got you.
Yeah, that
There's
was good. There's
There's
bits
like
here and
next to
there.
his office, he's like acting like he's a big shot in this like high stress work environment.
I am
There's
the
like a
in-scene
Hasidic
tester of the
Jewish
year.
guy like trying on pants next to him and
It's
with
kind of
mixed
like
results and whatever. It's kind of funny.
Yeah,
I'll give you
There's
that.
something there.
it's the whimsical car assembly factory from Speed Racer, only it's for pants inseams. Like there's all kinds of weird tests going on with the pants. Like, can you crouch in the pants? Can you do lunges in the pants? That seems to be Jason Alexander's job. Is
He's
does
the lungeman.
He's a lunges in the pants and see if the inseam holds up.
North can't get a hold of his dad, and so he hangs up the phone because Jason Alexander's too busy testing pants, and he's walking along, and who drives up but grade A sleazeball? He's a great at playing a sleazeball. John Lovitz!
John Lovitz in like an AMC Gremlin or some kind of car that looks like that. Arthur Belt, attorney. We see like an ambulance zooming by. Did
Oh,
you see
yeah,
that?
He's an ambulance chaser.
Yeah, he's chasing an ambulance. He's like, I don't mind the ambulance. I just use it to beat the traffic.
It's genius.
So he gets right in the car with this creep.
A, what is North thinking? And B, what is in any of this for John Lovitz?
Man, just talking about this movie, I think you can see how, like, the script might have worked if you were reading it as an actor. I don't know. Like, if you're an actor and you get this script and you're like, this is great, a car chasing an ambulance? That's funny.
I don't know. I think you put Mel Brooks directing this movie. It's a much fun, even with this script.
I think it's Rob Reiner. Is the you can lay a lot of the blame at his feet.
Go
this
get
is
new
definitely a kids rule movie.
Yeah.
Mega
we'll-
kid
yeah.
power.
As we'll hear, and like
This is totally a movie where the kids are all smart and genius and the adults are stupid and they do dumb things kind of movies.
I didn't like
But-
those movies when I was a kid.
Yeah. You're like, this doesn't ring true.
Yeah, so John Lovitz is there. North, he just can't go anywhere without attracting some strange man's attention, whether it's a guy in a bunny suit or
That's how
a
famous
crooked-
he is.
a sleazeball lawyer.
He's so good at elementary school athletics and plays and stuff that everybody in the whole town knows him.
Yeah.
he's already been to Epstein's Island like 3 times. Neverland Ranch, he was down there. It was cool.
He just went
He
on
has
the roller
everybody
coaster.
wanted North.
Good things to say about MJ.
Everybody loves North, and this is where John Lovitz says that he could basically get emancipated or separated from his parents, or I don't know what the exact term was, but he can
Yeah.
go see a judge about it, and he can go pick some new parents. And so we cut to this court scene.
Alan Arkin is the judge.
Alan Arkin's the judge. And
Yeah. Nor's parents aren't going to take this line down. We saw Nor's parents, they faint.
they faint.
They
and
go
They're
into a
basically
coma.
just like in a coma. And so
Yeah.
they're sitting there in the courtroom like on stretchers being propped up like dolls, basically, just sitting
Which,
there like catatonic.
Kind of like Hannibal Lecter when he's dragged into court,
On his
if he wasn't
wheelie.
awake and very dangerous.
Which I
They're
thought
catatonic.
it was interesting because that's like kind of how I watched this movie. It was just like I was Jason Alexander or Julia Louis-Dreyfus in a catatonic state, just like staring at the screen, blank face, like a psycho or something who didn't feel emotion.
The lawyer's like, oh, I'm making their statements, and then the defense guy's like, Your Honor, the defense rests. And it looks like the camera pans over to the parents, and they're just sitting there catatonically.
Alan Arkin's like, I can't believe any parents would come in here and not defend the right to be a parent to their child. You're not fit to parent North. North is the best boy ever. He's everybody's favorite child. He's the nation's golden boy.
Yeah, basically Arkin rules that he should be able to become a free agent. Yeah, hey, you can find a new parent, and you have until Labor Day. Yeah. Yeah, you have until noon on Labor Day to find new parents. And John Lovitz is already singing to celebrate. He's going, hey, Israel was in Egypt and they let my people go.
The letter of the law is you have to be in the arms of your chosen parent.
Both parents.
By noon. Yeah, both parents.
North doesn't have the option to go to a single
Can't be
parent.
one. No, it has to be a nuclear family.
In the arms of... You have to be in the arms of both parents by 12 noon on Labor Day.
Gavel.
Yeah.
And so Alan Arkin, as John Lovitz is singing, let my people go, he like whips a fucking gavel at John Lovitz's head, and he just like stops and quietly sits down. That made me laugh. That was one of the few
there's
laughs.
jokes here. Yeah. The whole time Winchell, his editor buddy, just sitting in the background going like,
I hate that fucking kid.
He likes what's going on.
But there are funny people in this movie, and they're getting chances to do funny things almost.
I think by the end of this movie, you guys will have totally reevaluated this.
Well, when we're acting it out, it's funnier.
Yeah.
It's true. So now we enter the next phase of the
man.
movie where North is on the prowl. He's a free agent. He's recently divorced from his parents, and now he can go try out all those other parents that he's always wanted to try out before, but he wasn't allowed to. The first stop on his tour is he's going down Texas way, and he's going to meet Ma and Pa Tex, played by Dan Aykroyd and Reba McEntire.
He's getting like all kinds of calls and emails. And
Oh, yeah. He's
things,
like,
and people are like, does he have blue eyes? Does he believe in evolution? Does he believe in God? And it's like, yes, he has blue eyes. Yes, he's a good Aryan boy. But yes, he believes in evolution and God.
He's totally rational. There's a whole call center set up to answer calls about him. He's getting more fan mail than a George Harrison. It's like he's the most popular. Like everybody on the entire earth knows about this kid.
I hate this. There's so many orphans.
Yeah, maybe they should have made him an underdog. I don't know.
I think we should kill this
Well, that's
kid.
the thing too. Is like he has so many things going for him. That's a good point. He should have been an underdog. Because one of the reasons that I really like Stand By Me is that throughout it you experience all of their flaws and them coming to terms with all of their flaws or not doing that. That's interesting.
I'm rooting for Chris and Gordy.
But
because they have hard home lives.
Yeah.
And like we all relate to that on some level. Like we all don't have perfect families. We all come from trauma.
Oh my god. He is not in any way the underdog. He's the Ubermensch who everybody in the world wants. And
What's his story? He
It's
starts
one reason.
He realizes that, he had it good after all. He never has a single trial or anything bad or interesting things happen to him, but he doesn't face any challenges.
You can see it as each incident in this movie as like one page on a storybook. As a full-length feature film, it doesn't quite pan out.
I'm genuinely sorry for picking this movie, guys.
I'm glad I saw it.
I forgot that you picked it.
But if you're not in the parents' arms, then it'll be like the little... Have you ever seen The Little Rascals? Ha-ha! Oh, that's no day at the beach. And Lovitz is like... The world is your oyster, kid.
Go get him, North. They say the name way too much.
And then we get
in this movie.
Bruce Willis being like, even though North didn't really like oysters.
Fuck off.
This is the kind of shit we're dealing with.
That's pretty bad, I'll admit.
So he gets a flight down to Texas, and we meet Reba McEntire and Dan Aykroyd And they're
My
dressed all crazy. And it's Texas big.
And they drive the longest limousine you ain't ever did see.
Yeah. This limousine has a wagon wheel on the back. It's got Texas Longhorn horns on the front. It's got rifles hanging on the side. In the interior, it's all like cowhide and like it's super Texas. It's like just the biggest limo around because Pa Tex and Ma Tex, they won't accept anything other than the biggest things.
We like the
Yeah.
biggest and we like the best.
Everything's
You're already
gotta
the
be the
best, so we're
biggest.
going to make you the biggest.
I used to own the Houston Astros. Just this morning, I signed them over to you. Yum, yum, yum,
Yeah.
yum. Ah,
Gives them the ownership
Don't worry,
papers.
North. I have ourselves two tickets booked on the flight with Epstein to his island tonight.
Only the
Yang,
finest,
yang.
only the finest Lolitas.
Say, North, do you like Lolita?
Do you like Turkish prisons?
So they get a tour of this ranch. We meet Bruce Willis once again. He's a different character. He's this cowpoke, and he's shooting bottles. They're having dinner, and everything's huge. He gets a huge rack of ribs, and it's like, oh, everything's got to be big, like our first son, Buck. Oh, our big first son, Buck. He was the biggest boy this state's ever seen. Well, he died in a stampede, and it was a huge loss. Everybody get it? It's a huge loss. He was a big boy, and it's a big loss for us. Wow, what a big shoes you have to fill.
Ang, ang, ang.
Yeah.
Buck used to eat a month's worth of food in 1 week, I believe, was the
Boy-
number they gave.
Boy, he didn't like February.
Yeah, what did that mean?
February is the shortest month.
It's and not big enough.
Not enough food in February.
Yeah. What a big loss. He was trampled by longhorns, and everybody breaks into song and dance and to the tune of Bonanza.
Yeah.
It's
and
nice.
Their plan is to turn North into...
We hit a son who was
Gluttony
trampled
from
by a bunch of longhorns.
Yeah.
Something you're
Flat
gonna
as
be
they
our
may
son.
be.
I'm okay with this. Again, like the...
You got Reba in there.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
have Reba
And
McEntire
Reba's-
singing a song, and Dan Aykroyd. Like,
And
he-
Reba's Texan, right?
Yeah, and
That's
she's
like probably the most appropriate casting
again,
of the
like
parents.
I'm kind of tapping my toes, and then it fucking just all comes. It just all goes off the rails as soon as these little bits go away. Then you're back in this shitty world that's supposed to be all whimsical. And I had a note earlier when they picked them up. North has already had so many chances to get abducted and bring this movie to a screeching halt, but Rob Reiner is not going to make it that easy. So North doesn't want to be turned into Gluttony from Seven. So he's like, I'm so
Yeah.
long, Pard, and he goes off on his way.
I mean, he's all cool with that. He's like, I'll eat all day long, but I don't want to be compared to your son, Buck. You know, I don't want to be compared like a Gordy and a Denny situation and stand by me. I just want to be my own man,
This
man.
North is so damn decent.
He has a heart-to-heart with Gabby, the cowpoke played by Bruce Willis. Gabby tosses a coin in the air and shoots a hole through it.
Pretty cool.
That's his
And
lucky
he
coin.
Gives it to North. Here's your lucky coin, boy. Hey, I'm fucking Bruce Willis. I'm so cool.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, that journalist kid is running a kid civil rights movement.
It's an ingenious little evil plan he's got.
John Lovitz has just decided he wants to hang around with a bunch of 8-year-olds for the rest of his
Yeah.
life while he helps this kid.
Well, it's-
Yeah,
overthrow
he's
the
like doing
government.
speeches in front of like a giant portrait of North, looking like Citizen Kane or Che Guevara or something.
Yeah.
Viva
Viva,
El Norte. I hate it so much.
It's this
Kid
evil,
power. Oh, if all the kids rise up. Ah.
They'll make me president.
No more bedtimes. No more bedtimes.
The-
Dessert for breakfast, please. Kid power.
this is what a great kid North was. That, like, you know, back before this, all the parents were using North as an example to control the kids, where they're like, North would have his bed made by now. But now that North's gone and abandoned his parents, all the kids are like, I'll abandon you. Like,
Oh,
North.
kids are using that to control the
They're
parents.
flipping it
Wow,
around,
this
man.
movie's really smart.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
It's really
deep.
saying something.
And,
it introduces a concept and then it shows you that concept.
Yeah.
What if you approach it from the other
Man.
direction?
If you flipped it like that, it flips the whole world order.
Man, I haven't had my mind blown like this since Fight Club.
How does John Lovitz plan to become president?
Hi, I don't know.
I don't know, but this Winchell's just so damn charismatic that he's gonna convince the entire
Yeah.
nation to overthrow their parents.
North flies off to Hawaii. We get Keone Young, which is Mr. Wu
Mr.
from
Wu.
Deadwood.
That's right.
and Lauren Tom.
Sucker.
And he was born in Hawaii.
Yeah, he's
Okay.
Hawaiian.
He's
I'll grant that it's not
Yeah.
somebody doing
Hawaiian face.
Hawaiian
Yeah.
face.
Not like we're gonna see in the Alaska sequence.
Yeah.
So we get Lauren, and Lauren Tom is the wife, and that's Amy from Futurama,
Oh, okay.
which you all
shit.
might recognize her as, and many, many other things. It's all going really well here at first in Hawaii. Like, they're showing him around the beautiful islands of Hawaii, and whoa, what a nice time. They say, oh, well, you'll die later because the time zones, you'll live much longer.
Oh yeah.
Which is kind of funny. It's kind of like a Roald Dahlian absurd thing.
There's
Yeah.
jokes all through this movie.
Okay, they say he's guaranteed straight A's because they don't use B, C, D, or F in the Hawaiian alphabet.
That's a joke.
Then they're like, well, Hawaii is such a rich and fertile land, but there's only one barren place, and that's Mrs. Ho's womb.
Okay.
Her rotten, poisoned, unhospitable to life womb.
Yeah.
She cannot give birth, and he's concerned about having
that kinda
another
comes out of left field.
another kid that, well, he brings it up. He's like, I don't want to live in the shadow of some other kid that you guys may or may not have had already.
It's probably the most tone deaf
Don't-
line in the movie,
Don't
which
worry.
made it the most hilarious line in the movie to me. I was
My
like,
wife,
she's barren.
completely
Yeah.
barren.
Forget about it.
She shoots him a sidelong glance.
And me,
but-
I shoot blanks.
yeah.
There's no way we're gonna
Like,
have a kid.
we're equally barren. Yeah, we don't know which one's barren.
So they're
Anyway.
infertile,
Yeah,
which is a rough irony for
They're
Hawaii, of course. So so far it's going good. North thinks he might actually want to stay there. This is when they reveal a billboard showing an octopus pulling down North's shorts like he's the Copper Tone baby,
yeah.
revealing his pale little white butt.
yeah.
And they want to make him the mascot of Hawaii. Like Hawaii needs a little white kid's ass
Yeah.
to draw tourism. It's like people don't want to come to our paradise. Maybe we need to show North's little ass.
Hey everybody,
Crack.
Epstein bought Hawaii. Let's go down there. Aye.
They Governor Ho has this whole big plan where like
Dan Aykroyd, for the record, was not on the Epstein logs.
But Pa Text was.
Oh, Patex
His
definitely
alias.
was.
100%.
would this entice
Yeah,
you guys to like become a permanent resident of Hawaii if you saw like Elijah Wood's crack?
It enticed me to puke up all my blueberry pie.
If it's adult Elijah Wood and his bare ass, I might.
I mean, it's interesting.
But little kid Elijah Wood, no, I'm good.
Elijah Wood's ass.
Yeah,
Interesting.
it's artful. Governor Ho and Mrs.
Tell me more.
Ho, their whole plan is that like Hawaii is a state where people only go to visit as tourists, but they never choose to stay. But if they have this billboard with Elijah Wood's crack,
My crack.
Yeah.
That's my crack.
Well, you
They
don't
kept saying
see his
crack.
cornhole.
no,
No, it's just
no, but they could have said ass, but
not in a children's
Crack.
book. They could have called it a bum bum though.
he's like, "What's my crack got to do with this?" And they're like, "Well, your crack could draw."
crack got to do?
got to do with it. The crack could draw permanent residence.
What's crack but a flatulent emotion?
I don't know if you guys know this. Graham Greene, who plays the dad in the Alaska segment,
Yeah.
one of his early roles was in a play called The Crack Walker. And I was wondering if that might have something to do with Elijah Wood's crack in this movie, or this, I don't know.
That tracks. He's like, I only do crack-related material.
I just-
No, not that kind of crack, but cracks.
Yeah.
It's the only reason he agreed
What a
to do
weird
this movie.
piece of trivia, Mitchell.
I know. I was reading the Graham Greene Wikipedia article. And,
I like that guy.
you know, crack is such an unusual thing to call the gluteal cleft. It seemed weird.
Yes, he should have said gluteal cleft. That would have made it seem way less
That's
weird.
more relatable.
So the slogan is North goes Hawaiian, not hey, look at my little boy crack or whatever. My little boy gluteal cleft.
Yeah.
And North is pretty upset.
Understandably.
He takes off and he meets Bruce Willis, and he's some burnout on the beach with the metal detector. What? Well, you didn't find your great folks here. Maybe go find some fucking folks somewhere else, huh? It'll be cool. Hey.
You find the right folks sometime. Just gotta keep it at North.
Yeah.
You're the best kid in the world. Everybody loves you.
Yeah,
I
you're
wish you were
best.
my son, but I'm just
Yeah.
a ghost or something.
I'm the narrator, and he's like, "Don't I know you from somewhere else?" Hey, shut up.
That's a pretty annoying little cutesy joke.
He's
Throughout
so precocious,
this,
North.
Where like Bruce Willis is clearly he's like North's guardian angel or something like that, but every time he pops up at the end of every segment, he pretends like he's not. He's like, yeah, no, you don't recognize me from nowhere. He's clearly some kind of a special guardian spirit who guides him through the movie.
I agree. I would even call it a knock against this movie. Winchell's pro kid campaign is growing off like crazy. Arthur Belt and him are getting massages. This is when Arthur's like, "Sex on the beach, please." Aren't I nutty?
Gross.
Again, what is this guy's motivation here? Why, like, these kids don't have money.
I don't know. They're getting money from somewhere because this kid's getting massages, and like in movie language, that means that you're like opulently rich.
It's true. He
Yeah.
does get. He
Only
does
the
get-
richest of the rich have
Yeah.
massages.
Yeah,
gets the
exactly.
penthouse suite later.
Yeah,
He
one of them
gets a
gets sex
massive
on the
office
beach. Yeah.
Only the richest people get sex on the beach.
I
Winchell's-
mean, and then he's demanding cocktails.
Yeah. And he's like giving like orders to the massage therapist where he's like, massage my lower back toots. It's really tight down
He goes,
there.
"Hey, dollface."
Yeah.
That's where
Hey,
all my tension
yeah.
builds up.
Hey, baby, why don't you massage my crack?
Yeah, get down in the crack. Get the baby oil in
My
there.
gluteal max. They're off.
So,
they're upward.
North's
They're
off to Alaska. And
He's
this
going to
is
meet his Alaskan parents.
probably where we get to the worst segment of the movie.
Yeah.
It's,
We get them dog sledding to an igloo village.
They land in Juneau, but because Alaska is just a big ice skating rink, they skid all the way to
Yeah.
Anchorage.
Anchorage. They go from Juneau to Anchorage, and they just like
Is that the joke?
yeah, they just like
And they slide right into the terminal. Like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
nose of the plane just bonks the glass
Yeah.
of the airport.
like
That's kind of funny.
sometimes we warp the terminal, sometimes we don't.
It's
But-
kind of funny.
It's
Yeah,
kind of funny.
that's like
Again,
the highest praise we can
Yeah.
give this movie. Like in a Naked Gun movie, like that joke would have been done where it was funny, or at
Yeah.
least like
Get Wes Anderson directing this movie. He could do.
Yeah.
He could make it funny.
it
and-
would have had a
He
dozen
was
jokes
inspired by
around
this.
it.
Sorry, Rob Reiner. But
Sorry, meathead.
Sorry, Rob Reiner, but fuck you.
yeah, you
Fuck
meathead,
you.
you.
Fuck you. Fuck you.
You made us watch this movie, you piece of shit.
Stand by me.
We're
was
gonna
good.
get you, Rob. We're coming to find you.
We're getting on a choo-choo train.
This is your fault.
This podcast is entertainment only. We mean no threat against Rob Reiner, but if we see you in the street,
I'll tear your whole town apart.
I'll kill your family.
Carl Reiner.
Carl Reiner's family too. So yeah, we're in the Alaskan bit, and he's going to be adopted by Graham Greene and Kathy Bates.
Kathy
In
fucking
fucking
Bates
Redface. Oh God,
Yeah, this is Inuit,
Inuit
face.
face.
Yeah,
they don't call it that in this though.
probably the most offensive thing in the movie.
I'm pretty sure she's got like her eyes slanted out in a certain way. Oh
She's
my God.
she's all tan skinned. I looked it up. Kathy Bates is of Irish descent, in case anyone was wondering. Graham Greene, who plays the father, at least he's indigenous.
Yeah,
But he's not Inuit as far as I know. But
He's Canadian.
oh yeah, Graham Greene.
Well, not Canadian. He's First Nations.
Alaska's filled with white people. They didn't need to do it at all. Like they could have cast
Yeah.
another actor, but they could have just
Could
had
have just
Kathy
been
Bates
white
as
people,
Kathy Bates,
or they could have
and that's
just
fine.
not.
Yeah, Kathy Bates is a white Irish woman. I mean, it's just simple as that, and she's wearing a tan face paint.
But
and-
she was in Rob Reiner's film Misery, so he has to put her in this movie.
Yeah.
And she could just play a fucking white woman.
yeah, maybe she could be Ma Tex.
But anyways, Kathy, they're living in their igloos. Everybody's living in igloos. And
Is it funny that that it's like an Inuit suburb where they go to the igloos and they've got like garage door openers?
yes, that was
that
funny.
like that's not offensive. That's I thought that was kind of.
It's a joke. I won't say it's
Yeah.
funny, but it's a joke.
You could see that in
I'll
the
take it.
children's storybook
Yeah, sure.
working.
It's stuff like that why I keep bringing up Mel Brooks, because that's something that he would do in his movies, and it would be funny.
Yeah, but that would be surrounded by like 40 other jokes.
That's true. I was
And
just
it'd be
thinking,
like,
yeah.
that's not particularly funny, but like one of those are funny. And that's like the Mel Brooks thing. Is throw
Yeah.
everything at the fucking wall. This movie has like one joke per scene. None of them are funny. But also the funniest part is Abe Vigoda being
yeah, that's
put
pretty
out
good.
on an ice
That's
floe
pretty good.
to die.
Yeah, Abe Vigoda
It
is.
shouldn't be funny. It's racist. It's a racist fucking joke.
It's as far as I know, that's not a true thing.
That's
that
not a
was
thing.
ever true.
I don't think
Like,
so. I'm not even gonna bother
No.
looking it up. I'm pretty sure that's a racist joke.
it's like it's Midsommar, where
But-
you're too old to serve
But it's-
anymore.
You're out.
But it's funny to put Abe Vigoda out on an ice floe and send him off to sea and
And-
have Richard Belzer
yeah.
do it.
Yeah, Richard Belzer's just
With,
like
like-
hurrying it all along.
Yeah, hurrying along. Like, that's funny.
Like the families are trying to say goodbye to each other. And he's like, "Hey, let's go. I haven't got all day. Come on, get on the ice floe. We're gonna send you out to sea, Grandpa." Like,
Once again, it is funny. It should be funny, but it's not funny in the movie. But as we recounted, it's funny. Yeah, so they have this long journey up to the ice floes, and it's like, oh, meet your grandfather. Oh, well, actually, we're going to send him off to die now on the ice floes. And they go on this long journey, and he doesn't realize that it had been like 7 weeks for the journey.
oh yeah, because Alaska has like days that last for months and nights that last for days and all that stuff.
Mhm.
Grandpa Abe's giving him the wisdom, and you're like, "Oh yeah, it's nice to have a grandpa who can impart the wisdom to the next generation." Maybe.
They take a sleigh ride home on horses. And there's Bruce Willis, and he's riding the sleigh ride. And it's
He's
like,
a horse.
it's you. No, it's not. He
Coincidence.
explains that Labor Day is already now a week away.
Which was
How?
the
It's
deadline.
Yeah, it's a 7-week walk to the ice floes. No, it's like, no wonder we stopped for lunch 49 times. Off to the airport, and we get...
North famously got 34 in geography, so he might not know what about
That's
Alaska's.
true. Yeah, he was
Day
doing
late.
good, but
North he's got to go
He
get
fell
his.
off.
He's got to put it into high gear. He's going to start visiting a bunch of families. First stop, we're going to the Amish family. We're going to Amish paradise, and
this is a Russian dancer. This guy who plays the
Yeah, he's
Amish
one of the
father.
bad guys from Die Hard.
Oh, okay. I didn't write down his name, but he was like famous, and he died several years ago.
And we get Ben Stein. He's introducing North's catatonic parents
he
at,
ruled the
at
world
a museum.
for a while.
I know. People just couldn't get enough of Ben Stein being like,
Yeah.
hey, okay, we got this museum exhibit. And people are like,
He is
oh my God, he's comedy gold!
straight and conservative. He was a Nixon advisor. He was an advisor for several presidents, I think.
So
So then
He's
they
gone.
go to the Amish people and they fucking take off after they realize it's no fun.
yeah, so here we're getting into a
That's
bunch
kinda
of
funny.
jokes of like North just stopping in for a minute and going, and so like the Amish. Can you imagine if people were Amish? Brrr, taking your plane somewhere else.
I mean, fair enough. Fuck the Amish.
I wouldn't want to live there if
Yeah.
I was.
They're not listening. Fuck them.
You forgot about the Rumspringa.
Then China. Then they go to China and we get like this.
They want to make him emperor.
Yeah.
This is a little silly, and it's long live the North Dynasty. Give him the Emperor cut, and it's Kelly O'Brien from Star Trek. I don't know if you noticed.
Oh shit! Giving him the haircut?
Yeah, she's like, "Oh, I'm here to cut your hair," and he's like, "Oh no, you can't cut my hair, even though this seems like an amazing place."
Yeah.
What an idiot. Then he goes
Oh
to
yeah,
his
it's
high
Zaire.
ear. And then we get the
Yeah.
we get the Tarzan call as he swings in on vines.
Yeah.
There's a National Geographic.
Well, that's the thing. is He can't live there because he'd spend too much
Yeah.
time jerking it to his
He's too
foster
horny for the
mummies
boobs.
milkers.
Yeah, there's tribal boobies everywhere, and it makes
Yeah.
him horny. And
The mom is topless. He's staring at her titties.
yeah,
Here, a Right Said Fred montage would have improved the movie.
Yeah.
There's few movies that couldn't be improved by Right Said Fred.
I'm too sexy for my tribal headdress.
So
Then we go to France, and this one's really funny.
he's like
actually.
trapped in a bunch of like 50 sitcom tropes or something. Like,
But in France, the parents are they're wearing all berets, and they're sitting there
smoking.
watching TV, smoking and laughing at Jerry Lewis,
They're very bohemian.
which is funny. Like North changes the channel, and Jerry Lewis is on every channel. And they're all laughing, and there's nothing but Jerry Lewis on every channel. And he's like, I gotta get out of here.
funny.
The
funny
French
joke.
love Jerry Lewis.
Yeah.
That's my favorite joke in the movie.
That's one of the great French stereotypes.
Funny's funny. Like, I was laughing. I know it's a hack joke that the French love Jerry Lewis, but I was
Yeah.
laughing at Jerry Lewis in these fucking scenes. because
Yeah, exactly.
He's going, blah,
He looked like a fool.
and I'm fucking laughing.
Do the French love Jerry Lewis? Is that a thing?
That is
Yeah.
a stereotype.
Oh, totally.
Of
Oh,
the
I didn't
French.
know that at all.
Oh, he's huge in France. Like, they
yeah.
respect the hell out of him.
Because he's like a
Yeah.
very physical comedy, I think, and
Yeah.
it translates well, I guess.
Yeah. Finally, back to normal, waspy ass suburban America.
Oh.
Got any good Midwest families
Yeah.
that where I could go?
No more
Yeah.
weird foreign people, please.
Just the contiguous states, please. I don't want any of the, preferably a flyover one if you have one.
Yeah.
Give me the Leave It to Beaver
Just
family.
normal people, not those people.
Not weirdos.
We get John Ritter.
John Ritter, Scarlett Johansson is the young daughter in her first role. She was 9 years old.
And she's like, we baked you cookies. Do you like Nintendo? It's like an absurdly perfect family.
Yeah.
It's great. They're the Nelsons.
Yeah.
I'm still not convinced he should have ever left this family. This is probably like the Winter family.
They had a Terminator 2 arcade machine. Put a lot of quarters into that machine.
In
Yeah.
that house, I
theaters.
thought that was in the office where the kid is.
Oh shit, that is.
Oh yeah,
That's right. And you know what? I don't want to live with the Nelsons. I want to be a stooge for.
Yeah,
That's,
no.
Shithead.
that's another thing.
Yeah, Winchell
Like-
had all the good arcade games.
At this point, he has like we've seen him go from the newsboy, the school newspaper boy. Now, when you check back into him, he's like an evil CEO and in like an office tower.
It's been 7 weeks.
It's been 7 weeks. He's got like goons and hitmen and stuff like that. He's got arcade machines. He's like promising the presidency to John Lovitz, and he's saying like,
Hitmen.
I don't have a problem with the bit where it's like it's 7 weeks and he's already has all of that power and clout. I'm fine with that. I just don't get what his whole deal is altogether. What does he want? To rule the world, I guess? Like, to me, this whole subplot,
Yeah.
like, I don't get it. I don't know what's going on here if they flushed out a bit
He
more.
wants kids to have all the power.
yeah.
Wouldn't this world be cool if kids fucking rule it?
Kids on the street. Kids on the beat. Beat kids.
yeah. I mean, he's evil. He's an evil capitalist. He's
Kids bop. Oh, kids.
that's Winchell.
Do you like the Beatles? Well, how about the Beatles sung by a chorus of grade 5 kids? Kids Bop.
But he's as evil as like an Omnicorp CEO from RoboCop. Or
He's got an Ed
he's
209 somewhere in one of his.
We're gonna murder some kids. Like he's okay with murder. That's the level of CEO he is.
Dude, he like Ace is on his payroll. That's where Ace wound up. He wound up working for Winchell as like a wet. He does
Yeah.
wet work.
Yeah.
Wet.
Good God, this movie. We're at the Nelson's
Sire.
house. Of all the wackadoo places North has gone to, this one is the most normal, and it's the place that he thinks that he could be the happiest. I mean, Scarlett Johansson's his stepsister.
Take it easy. She's 9 years old.
But
They're about the same
I don't
age.
think there's any romantic interest between
none
them.
whatsoever. She's, a
She's
nice
very
dude who gives her
sweet. She's a
cookies.
cute little girl.
It's the purest Leave It to Beaver family. They've got like a shaggy sheepdog.
So North really likes this place, and then the one thing, just before this all happened, North's parents, they snapped out of their catatonesis. and-
Winchell's playing the whole game. He's been watching them. He knows. He's got his like goon watching.
Commence
them.
Operation Xerox.
Yeah.
So yeah, the whole time John Lovitz is like, "Gee, Winch, I don't know. I think they're on to us." He's like, "Do you think I would go this far and not have a backup plan? Do you think I wouldn't have thought of that? He's a real criminal mastermind.
He's Lex Luthor.
He's like or Wilson Fisk, yeah.
Yeah.
They bring in North's parents and they record a video and they're tearfully pleading for North to come back home. But then Winchell keeps the cameras rolling and he doesn't let them know about that. So then he says things like, "Do you want coffee?" And they have very strange reactions. They're like, "No, not at all."
No
Yeah.
coffee.
No, that's
Yeah.
enough. We don't want it.
Well, maybe North can't come back, but there is a kid named Hugh. Would you like to have a kid named Hugh for your kid? And they're like, "No, I don't want Hugh. I want..." And they're going to edit that into the tape to be like, "I don't want Hugh, North."
He's not my son.
Yeah. Sweet, sweet man.
And then the doctored footage shows up at the Nelsons' place, and they watch it. And North is heartbroken because it shows that his parents want his sweet crack can,
Crack.
and so he decides he wants to stay with the Nelsons.
But then just at the... I think apropos of nothing.
But then he fucks off. He's like,
Yeah.
you know what? He decides he doesn't want to stay with the Nelsons.
For
couldn't
no
I
reason.
couldn't remember why.
He's like, you know what? You guys are perfect, but I'm a little
Yeah.
bitch, so I'm going to go take a train to New York. And he hands a beggar the coin with the hole in it that he got from the cowboy guy. He's in Grand
Yeah.
Central Terminal.
I love that this guy just starts yelling at this kid. Both these movies have really good. They have sequences of just these old people just like yelling at the kids, like, "Hey, you fucking asshole! This has a hole in it. I can't spend this. This money's any good. I can't get a subway token." He's just like tearing a piece out
Well,
of this
yeah,
kid.
that was
What
like
it says, but we find out later he bought a hot dog with it.
I thought it would be a good trick to tie a string through that coin, and then you can go to vending machines and like put it in the vending machine and yank it back out.
Yeah, that's a everlasting coin.
Yeah.
Also, well, North is like this kid. He's supposed to be so smart. He doesn't recognize an everlasting vending machine coin right in front of his
This
eyes.
kid's
Yeah.
a fucking idiot.
I fucking
He's
hate him.
supposed to be smart, and he's not.
He's so cool because he hits a good baseball.
So then he's
but-
walking around Manhattan at night by himself, and this is like not the safe Manhattan that it was in 1994. It's like
No.
the Manhattan of the 1970s, where
Yeah.
like it's the Manhattan from the
Porno
William Friedkin.
shops.
It's
William
before
Friedkin
Giuliani
movie.
had all of this.
Yeah, it's from Cruising.
So,
So
then he,
yeah, Winchell actually has a guy chasing North around Central Park,
with a loaded
firing a
gun.
gun at him.
Just this made me wryly chuckle as well. I won't say I laughed at this movie, but this was one of my wry chuckles at the movie was when this
Oh,
guy just
wry
it just cut to the scene where this guy is just immediately firing a pistol at North as he runs across a field, and it's like, okay, he's just trying to kill North now. Okay,
North met his magician friend Adam, who appears out of a shadowy alley, alleyway, like he's Deep Throat, and he's like, "I have the
Oh.
real footage of what your parents said about you," and he gives him the videotape.
was that Jesse Smollett?
His name's Adam in the movie,
Okay,
but
Jesse Smollett
yeah.
is in this movie.
Oh yeah, it's Jussie Smollett.
Who's that?
He got into a big controversy in the last couple of years because he faked a hate crime, and I think he carved like a MAGA into his own head, and then it
What?
turned out he faked it.
What?
Yeah,
He's a
he
black
was on.
guy, right?
Yeah,
He
he
should've
should have
been
had
canceled.
a bright career.
He should have had North carved into his forehead so that no one can forget.
He should have had Cobra carved into his arm, like the Cobra.
And then he would have been cool and
Yeah.
badass. North sees the tape of his parents and what they really say, and they actually do miss him. And now this guy, Winchell's been watching this whole thing, so now he's like, well, North has to die. If he's not going to lead by example or whatever his plan happens to be with him, then he's going to be a martyr.
It's kind of incredible. I didn't expect the movie to go here. I have to say, we're just like a hitman trying to kill North. And
That's wild.
as an audience member, you possibly might think for a second that he dies because he jumps on a truck and his hat falls off and it's covered in red like it's blood. And
Not
this
for a
is...
second would anybody ever think that.
Yes,
No.
I thought he was
I know that
dead.
that's
and
what
I
they
was
were
crying.
trying for.
Wait,
I was crying.
You guys got to remember,
So
we're
sad.
We're pretty clever. We're smarter than the average audience member, but maybe
Yes.
somebody saw that and thought,
Okay, fair enough. We're
North
not
was bad.
stupid like our listeners.
Can you imagine though if they actually did that? If we were watching this movie and like North goes and then he gets capped by some guy in Central Park, and the movie ends, and then Abe Vigoda comes on and is like, never leave your parents. And that's the end of the movie. And
He gives Ebert's little spiel there from his review.
be
where he's
great.
like, children do not easily leave their parents.
He should have been up there on like Lexington and like on the Upper East Side, running out of the park and just getting gunned down and shot a whole bunch of times like John Lennon. Just in a horrible fashion.
just like
We should just watch North die.
lit up like Willem Dafoe in Platoon. Just like arms in the air. But sadly, North, he survives somehow. He's in a truck full of raspberry jam or something like that. So that's what the red oozing liquid was. But
It was borscht.
it was borscht.
Yeah,
Was it borscht? A truck full of
yeah.
borscht?
Yeah.
Winchell's-
It's a big plot point where Winchell's like, oh, look at this hat. This, sir, is an Eastern European delicacy made from beets and often served cold with sour cream. It is called borscht. You fucking idiot! But that's a nice little nod to the Borscht Belt style comedy of
Yeah.
Carl and Mel Brooks. So he's dropped off in the kitchen of a banquet hall, and it's NASA is having a meeting there. That's the National Association of Smoke Alarm People. Hilarious, right?
Jimmy
Bruce Willis is on stage, and he's like doing a little stand-up bit. He's like, "Do you smoke after you make love?" "I don't know. I never looked." And then silence. And then, "But I tell you one thing. My smoke alarm never went off." And then the crowd's like, "Ah!"
industry humor.
Industry humor,
He's
right?
playing the room. He did his research. Good for him.
That's kind of funny. So this is when finally he watches the real tape. He goes backstage with Bruce Willis,
Who's Jimmy Fingers, the lounge
Jimmy
act,
Fingers,
like
nice.
kind of sleazy comedian.
But I thought he was
guy.
the Easter Bunny.
He goes, "Don't
He's
you
a-
get it, kid? Bird in the hand's always greener than the grass in another
Yeah.
guy's bushes."
Oh,
Hey! Oh!
Andrew Dice Clay.
Yeah,
Oh,
remember,
but
if you can't stand the heat, stay out of Miami. Yeah, basically, that idiotic interaction is what causes North to want to go and reunite with his parents, and he runs to the airport. And all these kids are trying to stop him from reuniting with his parents because if he reunites with his parents, then he'll end the kid liberation movement that's happening as a B plot in this movie.
And no
which-
more a kid power.
Yeah, and he's already reportedly dead.
Winchell wanted to martyr
this
him.
is a-
So he can't get on a fucking plane.
This is a
because
really
these
weird
fucking
reason to not
jerks.
be allowed on a plane because everybody knows North and they think that he's dead, but they're not letting him on because something on the news said that he's dead. And how can a dead person ride a plane? I don't really.
What is he, a ghost? Ghost can't ride a plane.
Ghosts live on a
Everyone knows.
If
different
you're
plane.
fucking dead, kid, you can't ride a plane.
Hey,
Where's your passport?
it's me. I'm Bruce Willis. I'm your stewardess for this flight.
I'm also an NSA agent.
Now, do you want to stand in the big machine, or do you want me to put my hand on your crack? So North, he does manage to catch a flight home.
No, he has to actually go get a fucking truck. So North has to actually.
oh, yeah.
So North has
Man,
to
Vaughn
go get
didn't
a
watch
truck.
the end of this movie at all.
I was furious.
Blind
so-
rage.
So North can't catch a plane.
I watched this last night. Less than 24 hours ago, I was watching this movie.
We're in the heat of the moment right now. The
Yeah.
time is like he had until January, whatever, to meet his new parents and jump in their arms.
September.
Labor Day. It's
Labor
Day.
Day something.
Both of these movies are actually Labor Day weekend is a big important thing.
Yeah, we should have done them at Labor Day, the most important holiday.
There's
of
not
them
many
all,
Labor Day
by the way.
movies.
So yeah, he gets out of the airport because he's not getting any fucking help out there, and Bruce Willis picks him up in a FedEx truck. Yeah.
This is supposed to be some witty lines he's laying down here, I think, where he's like, FedEx gonna get you there in 24 hours.
What the fuck is Bruce Willis? So, like, in everything else, he's just been a guy who shows up physically moving around. Before, if you're just
Yeah.
kind of whatever.
But
whatever.
when the
He
FedEx
should have
truck,
been wearing a bunny suit.
Like the FedEx truck gets there to drop North off at his home. It's not Bruce Willis dropping him off. It's like a different guy is in the FedEx uniform dropping North off. Whatever that means. For what it's worth.
North comes back home to find his parents, and Winchell is there. His parents aren't.
Winchell's ready to deliver his parlor scene.
Winchell tells him to go to the secret spot.
Yeah.
Go to your secret spot, which I don't know what's the point of that, but
It doesn't make sense. Winchell was just trying to kill Elijah Wood North to make him a martyr to sell more papers, and
he did send his killer after him to
Yeah.
even come after him on his way to the secret spot.
I guess now he just wants, like, the ultimate story would be North being killed while he's in the last seconds.
Yeah,
while he's
he
just
wanted
about
to make a
reunite
martyr
with his
out of him.
parents.
Yeah, and then we cut and we see Alan Arkin sitting there with Julia Louis-Dreyfus and Jason Alexander, and they're sitting there in the furniture section of the mall.
By sundown, North needs to be in the arms of both parents.
This is the law. It's a strict legal rule. It's down to the second, one of those scenes.
They're talking about splitting up. With like Jason Alexander's, because North, he's nowhere to be seen, and one of them's like, well, I'm gonna go check the police station or something like that. And Alan Arkin's just, two parents. There gotta be two parents.
They both need to have the arms around the child.
And so North he's on his way, and the henchman is in hot pursuit, and he's just popping shots at North, and you think that he's gonna get him, and then
The goon fires the gun at him, and North wakes up in his secret spot. It was all a dream!
Yeah, the ultimate cop-out.
The mall is closing,
My
and there's
notes.
Easter Bunny Bruce Willis.
what a fucking cop out.
Yeah.
It's just
That's the most cop-out ending of anything.
It
of
was
all time.
all a dream, guys! This last hour and 40 minutes wasn't a waste of time at all.
But doesn't that explain everything? When you look at it as through the lens of a child's dream.
fucking not really, because his life before all of this happened is so outlandish and whimsical anyways that like there's not really any clear
Maybe that was a dream.
line, maybe it's all a dream.
Yeah.
But there's
maybe
no,
he's like
clear
Teddy.
line where you realize that things could be like where there's a change. The
Yeah.
tone never changes at all.
It's a total cop.
I fucking hate that ending.
Yeah.
Me too. It would have been
So Easter Bunny,
so much better if they just didn't do that at all. It would have been better. Making it a dream makes it way worse.
when I was in 3rd grade, I got reprimanded by my teacher for making my story end like that. Did not
me
a
too.
teacher tell someone not to do this?
Two of these
Fuck.
writers.
She'd be like, great story. Take that ending out. Just cut that out
Yeah.
entirely. End your story properly.
One of the writers. So there's Alan Zweibel, who wrote the kids' book, and then Andrew Scheinman, who was the other writer on this, who is primarily known as Rob Reiner's producer. He's not a screenwriter. He's a guy who's produced all of Rob Reiner's movies.
Okay.
And I really think that's like it's a really textbook example of not having any extra oversight or like being involved in that level where they didn't have somebody who was telling this guy no.
Building your own bubble.
Yeah, because it's bad. It's a bad hack ending. Fucking sucks. And so
Yeah.
after it's all a dream, North goes back home.
Easter Bunny, Bruce Willis gives him a ride home. And he's like, no place like home, kid, with the possible exception of Vegas when Sinatra's in town. Good line. Wow, I'm so glad you say that for the finale.
Yeah, like maybe a Dean Martin should have played that character. Like he's a Vegas guy. Like
No place like home.
That's like the last line in the movie.
It's so
There's like a little bit of like muttering from Jason Alexander's like, "Oh, North, you're home. We're so
Yeah,
happy to have you." But
he
like
gets
that's
back
like
home.
the last audible, like really audible line of dialogue in
Yeah.
the movie.
Yeah, they're
And
like, oh, we love you, blah, blah, blah. Fucking
It
blah, 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 blah.
stinks.
Fuck.
it stinks.
bravo,
So
bravo.
Oh, so that was North, and tough watch. Been a couple tough watches back to back here at the High and Low Studios.
I'll say this was an easier watch than 2006's Macbeth. Just because this movie was lit competently.
It was shot well.
Looked like a proper Hollywood movie. And it had a bunch of super talented people in there, people with faces. I could hear their lines of dialogue. But I really, really hated this movie.
Thoroughly unpleasant experience. I don't normally have such a strong reaction to movies, and I don't know what was happening with this one, but
See,
You waited till the 11th hour to watch it too, which
this is hot. Like I said,
made
like,
it even rougher on you.
the wound is still raw.
This is
Yeah.
the kind of things we put ourselves through for our podcast, for your entertainment.
See, me, I was largely indifferent to this movie, which I think is high praise.
He's a mute.
This movie inspires so
we
much.
need to study his brain.
People hate this movie. Like, you know, there's the Ebert review where he's like, I hate it. Like, not objective at all. Just like, I hate this movie. I wish I was dead rather than watch this movie again, basically. Like, yeah, people really hate this movie. And I kind of watched it mostly indifferent, and I even had a couple wry chuckles.
Oh, the right.
The couple wry chuckles, no
The wry
laughs.
one.
I don't know about you guys, but I probably watched at least 60 to 70% of comedies just straight faced like a catatonic person, like not actually laughing at all at them.
Hey, psychopath.
Yeah, like, most of them don't work. So that was me watching this, except I did wry chuckle twice.
Can you
Two wry
demonstrate a
chuckles
chuckle
Yeah.
for five?
So if you watch Airplane, how many
well-
wry chuckles do you get?
Airplane probably gets a couple genuine laughs, but like I'm watching North. There's somebody shooting at a kid in the park, and I go, that's a wry chuckle.
You're like the beer brand was like, well, you all know what laughter sounds like.
All right, that's a pretty clear around the table. Stand By Me is the winner for
Yeah.
the better Rob Reiner coming-of-age film.
One of the greatest coming-of-age movies of all time. On Wikipedia, it's genuinely considered one of the greatest movies of all time.
I would put it in that camp.
It's really good. It's really good. So
It's a good movie. It's very watchable.
Yeah.
You have like Little Women and Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants and Now and Then. Like
Yeah.
there's so many movies about young women and girls growing up and
Yeah.
like the close bonds and friendship they have. And Stand By Me is just one of the few that
Male
guys
friendship
have. And
movies.
it's so nice to see.
It's
just, like,
sensitive.
guys, yeah, exactly. And I was
Yeah.
joking, like I do think that, like putting your arm around people's shoulders is uncomfortable. But like these are guys who are like they're sensitive to each other and they're kind of like it's a different type of masculinity that you don't really see. And that's I appreciate that about this movie.
I related a lot to it. In between the homophobic and your mama jokes and whatever.
Yeah.
Like that's how we grew up, was ripping on each other, but it was like that was affection, and that's how we all related to one another. That's like masculine childhood in a nutshell, and I've not seen a movie to this day that has done it better or more
Yeah.
truthfully.
It owes as much to Stephen King's story as it probably does to
super
Rob
talented
Reiner's
writer.
direction. Yeah, I probably would rank it maybe my number one coming of age movie off the top of my head without sitting down to actually like think about that.
Right up there with Female Trouble.
Yeah. Yeah.
Boys need their cha-cha shoes.
I do want to give a shout out to a movie I watched this last year, Slash Back. You're watching this movie, and probably the most offensive part of it, Kathy Bates, an Irish person doing Inuit face. Slash Back had an all Inuit cast, an Inuit director. It was shot in, I think, Nunavut. It's a Canadian movie, and it's like, those actors are out there. It's like, it's probably a product of its time, 1994, having a white Irish person play an Inuit.
Again,
If you want to see a good Inuit movie, I can recommend Atan Arjuat, The Fast Runner.
and a Turajet.
Yeah, is that how you say it?
That's how yeah.
Pardon me if I mispronounce it. The Fast Runner is the other title of it. It's kind of like an erotic thriller, and it's an Inuit movie. It's very fucking cool.
Classic.
Those actors are out there. Those creative people are out there. It's,
Again, the main problem is she didn't need to be Inuit at all.
yeah.
Like, they could have just cast her as Kathy Bates, and that would have been fine.
You know what? If that was the only problem with this movie, it'd be a much better movie. But whatever.
It's the only problem with
So what are we doing next week there, Vaughn? I think it's your pick.
Y'all better put on your atomic wedgie-proof underwear and hide your pocket protectors, because we're doing some bully revenge.
Oh, shit.
We're going to start out with the 1988 classic Heathers, and then we're going to go to B-Town and visit 1978's Laser Blast.
Sick.
So
I haven't seen either. I'm excited.
Heather's is
Yeah.
quite good, and I'm very excited for Laser Blast. I've never
Some
seen it.
Revenge of the Nerds type stuff? or-
No. So it's Winona Ryder. She doesn't fit in with the new girls, and Christian Slater, the bad boy in class, shows her that she doesn't need to
shit.
fit in. She can kind of do her own thing.
Could you imagine Winona Ryder being the unpopular, being like,
I know.
what a loser?
Your imagination will become reality. So until next time, this has been High and Low. I'm Vaughn.
Mitchell.
I'm Luke.
Smell you later.
Peace.
When the night has come and the land is dark,